Trying so hard not to swear because that was a very torturous time for me there.
It should be fine.
Hello! Hello and welcome back to SLR, where we're here in China for the third event of the weekend for Division 3. You're joined once again by your commentators, myself as Riggs, and I'm being joined in the booth once again by my good friend and co-commentator, Merx.
Hello everyone, welcome aboard to whatever ride we're going to go on this evening. Should be an interesting one as usual in Div 3, and I am very excited to see what it has in store for us. And we have a full grid, so more of the fun with all these drivers in here.
Definitely, I think the leagues in general are at its best when there's a full lobby like this. The whole 20 cars being occupied by the respective driver just adds to the excitement. It also underlines the commitment the drivers make to show up and race and challenge for the points, because points will make prizes at the end of the day. We had a very good race in Division 1. I don't know too much about Division 2, unfortunately I missed that. That was earlier today, but also I'm going to say at the end, I actively encourage you to watch that once this one is done. But the skies are clear. Doesn't seem to be any threat of rain. We don't have that information in the weather on hand, so we'll have to take it as and when we hear it from the drivers. We normally hear about midway through the session anyway, or normally somebody does fire it in really early on from the
Yeah,
lane.
I've already got some information for the weather, and it is a wet race. So there's your early news. I haven't seen anything on quali, but looks like it's going to be dry for quali, but it will be a wet race, and that's all I got. So wet race. Don't know anything else, but it's a wet race. So that could be the whole thing. It could not be the whole thing. It sounds like it's the whole thing to me, but yeah.
So, with this information in mind, Merck, so how would the drivers go about setting up the car? Like, what changes would you feel they need to make to combat the wet weather that's going to be expected for the race, in terms of their setup?
Yeah, say high rear wing, obviously, and then it would be just, I think that'd be the main thing that will change on the setup would be the rear wing. In terms of tyres, they'll probably just stick on the softs and use all the softs they have, because strategy obviously doesn't matter in a wet race in terms of your starting tyre. And then, yeah, I think they're the two main areas which the drivers will focus on. Yeah, and then it'll just be. Oh, I was saying, and then it'll just be about trying to keep the car on the track, of course.
Definitely, the car. I mean, with the weather going to be a big factor in the race now with that new information, drivers will be more focused on applying more downforce, trying to improve traction out of the slow turns. So maybe something today we'll look in the throttle inputs and outputs of the car and the wheels, trying to look that up a bit more so they've got more traction generally. So I don't expect the drivers to be blisteringly quick. I don't think we'll be seeing like lap records being broken, like really good qualifying times, if they're going to try and combat the wet weather with a more conservative and downforce varied setup, really. So we might as well enjoy the sunny skies while we've still got them, if the wet is going to show up in the race. We are getting a fair few times on the board, most of them, the majority of the field bar SLR Jordan, the Ferrari on the soft tyres, Jord's trying to get through in the mediums, so maybe trying to save ourselves a set of softs for the next session if he gets through. Maybe go for an extra lap in Q2, Q3 on the fact that he gets there or no, that's another question entirely. Looking at the current grid at the moment, Max, I think it's still a bit early in the session to try and gauge a cut-off point. because there is a 1.8 second gap between DNK Rando in first and Baggy Fan in 11th on the softs, and Jod's 7/10 of a second outside of that bubble as well. And it keeps saying for me SPH is the fastest on the track. SPH is currently third in the McLaren. But no, let's talk about China as a circuit. It's got two main DRS overtaking points. It's into the hairpin of turn 13 and into turn 1. They are going to be the main overtaking points, but you might more often than not see a move going into turn 4, which I'm going to jump on board the Red Bull of I'll jump on the Red Bull of Crush, which is going through here. That's the main overtaking point as well, if you can get a good exit at turn 3. I'm on board with Crush, so we'll just kind of sit with Crush for the time being as we go through the sweeping left of 5 as he gets a big wiggle on near the rear end, just wanting to step out of line there. And again, so his car's really already have jumped on Crush for a matter of seconds, and we can see that his car's just looking really twitchy on the high speeds left and rights, Merc. Left and rights, aye. And
Yeah.
is that, I mean, with a higher downforce or the higher rear wing, that would aim to try and reduce the amount of instability at the back of the car, from my understanding.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I have noticed this track that I don't know if it seems very low grip, but it just seems through the fast corners the car seems to struggle. So I don't know if it's because there's a lot more downforce in these cars, obviously. But yeah, it just seems like the rear around this track, especially the rear, is overtaking the front of the car, and then causing the spin. So I don't know. I think it might just be a track characteristic. Obviously, you get out of line slightly in those fast corners, and you're going to struggle.
Definitely, I feel like going through the sweeping 6 and 7. I'm trying to actually do the math in my head, because I'm seeing the Red Bull Crush Gareth going through turn 9 and 10. That's turn 9, so that must be 7 and 8 then. The long sweeping left and right. With the dirty air being in the game as well, I can imagine that's going to reduce the amount of front end grip the car's going to have as well. So the track generally does feel like it's going to have, even though the skies look grey, it's clear, it's sunny. We don't know how warm it is, we don't have the information on temperature, but it is crucial to have temperature on a qualifying lap through China. As anywhere else really, but when I was racing here, and I'm assuming you'd feel the same the morning if the conditions were to be the same, it is generally a very abrasive and low grip circuit. If it was the dry, we'd be looking at a one stop mainly, medium to hards if it was going to be dry, but with the wet weather being thrown into the mix, we really don't know what the strategy would be. I think it'd still be a 1, depending on the intensity of the rain. Would the intermediates cause a 2-stop?
I should be at 1 stop. Obviously, you never know. I'd say it'd be a 1 stop. Just managing the tyres towards the end of the stint, you should be fine.
It will be, I think, tyre conservation, tyre management here in China more than anywhere else really that I can think of off the top of my head is quite crucial, because the track is very abrasive. It's very it degrades the tyres really quickly, quite highly at a high rate as well. So tyre management will be crucial. So I'm assuming drivers will have opted, before they knew the weather, they would have opted for the harder tyre selection when you come into the game. But we are just over 7 minutes left in the session. It is Rando still leading us with Sweaty Confetti and SPH up at the top in the Racing Point and McLaren respectively. I'm on board with Jules, who just finished a lap there to go 16th fastest. It's not going to be enough to be safe and advance to the next round. We're currently looking at Jules, Ned, Claude, Jord, Craig, who won last time out in Vietnam, and SLR Crush in the elimination zone at the moment. And I do feel like the quality and drivers like Ned, Claude, Craig can probably claw themselves back up to the front end of the field into the top 10 if they can get in a clean lap. Is there anything out on the track that you're noticing, Mick, so I can jump into that and get on
Yeah,
that.
I've got Dingle Dolphin on a lap, a decent lap at the moment.
Oh no
Looks
no
like
no no
the
no no. No.
cutoff will be around maybe where Dead Paul and Sprightly are, so around a 32.8. I'd say probably around there. If I was a betting man, that would be the cutoff point. But could be lower than that, of course.
Could be. He does lock up getting into the hairpin of 13 though, as we see yellows being waved on the big straight. I think that's just for the Williams of Baggy Fan letting the McLaren and the Ferrari go respectively. But Dolphin comes up to the line with a 32.4 and it's 10 fastest, so he's put himself right in the middle of the pack on a P10. Looking through the field, the closest we're seeing is the battle between SLR Gareth in 7th and Scott in 12th. So there's a 6-man battle there, just all within 0.2 of a second at each other there, so the pace is quite close between them now. We've got Randall in Sweaty Confetti SPH top 3 still once again. Everybody is still in the pit, so finding some track action will be a bit of a challenge. As we see Ned Cox come to the vault on the outside of turn 3.
Sorry, George just was 0.8 up in the first sector after setting that first lap on the mediums, and then went really wide on the exit at turn 6 and had to get out of the throttle because he was all over the curb on the exit. Should be on a half decent lap, but he's on the back foot at the moment.
I've jumped on. Well, he's still up 0.8 of a second, though, so nothing ventured, nothing gained there, despite as he takes a rather unconventional route over the curbs there on turn 12. And he's just coming in the sweeping right-hander there. We're going to have the racing point on the right-hand side there. Doesn't he opt to go for the slipstream? Doesn't he opt to dart the car to the right-hand side there and tuck in behind Dingle Dolphin down the straight? So we're going to see him coming into the hairpin, down into second gear. You want to take a good bit of the curb there. It does help you run. Don't touch the outside curb though, because it's very unsettling on your left side through turn 14. And it's just, I mean, turn 14 it's a really good corner when you get it right, but every time you run the slightest bit wide, it's a warning. And I feel like China is, I think the stewards and the game as well, in terms of general mechanics of the strict corner cutting, are a bit more authoritarian in terms of how much you can actually take, in terms of the curbs. I feel like they're a bit more, they're actually stricter than what they were, but I mean, I don't know if that's just a personal opinion or if you're sharing the same view as myself on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously track limits are way more consistent than they were last year, which is a good thing, of course.
Definitely, we want to try and limit, as we see DNF Plum just running a bit too wide there on the outside of 1. I'm just going to try and just jump through generally. I don't really know who else is really on a lap. I've just found Sprightly, he's on a lap, he's up 0.3 a second. But are you getting any chat action? Because the chat is very quiet on my phone.
I haven't had anything yet, so let me see. But yeah, as I was saying, a 32.8, it looks like it's got dropped to mid 32 now, so maybe we've got all those drivers from Gareth downwards, so it could be even a low 32. So track evolution is coming to the fore.
Definitely, I'm going to try and find Crush.
And then as soon as I say that, Jamam says up the Williams. So he's the first person into the chat.
Well, warm welcome to you, Jamham, mate. Good to have you along with the other 21 viewers it says on my phone. So warm welcome from myself and Merx here to SLR's Division 3. Hoping to deliver an exciting qualifying and an even more exciting race, especially knowing that the conditions are wet. As we see Crush just diving off to the left there on the front left zone of that car, and he's retired. He just took a bit of the curb on the inside of 6, and the car just it just kind of was unsettled through there. I think it's really easy just to lose the general grip through there. I mean, I don't want to kind of keep referencing myself or like what other drivers have been saying, but like I felt that quite a lot in the race. Generally, I felt like when you were going through there at a high speed and the tyres when they really at their optimum, you were turning in a bit earlier than you really anticipated the input from your steering wheel, and I think he's just kind of underestimated the effectiveness of his steering. Clipped the curb on the inside, and it's just through the car in every direction there, and we saw him just clip the curb and threw himself into the wall there. But that's unfortunately going to put Crush at the end. I'm going to jump on board with Paul, who does need a fast lap if you want to run us through, if you're on board.
George's on the back foot then. He has invalidated his second run, and he is coming into the pit lane now, and there's Dingle, Dolphin and Plum are also in the pit lane, as is Gareth, so they'll be looking over their shoulder.
Get a bit of confidence with these drivers here. Like the drivers were sitting talking about earlier between Gareth and Scott, they were all within 0.2 of a second, and they still are, but Track Evolution is really going to come into the fold. I've jumped on board with Paul for the lap. He's already up by a tenth. It wouldn't put him anywhere, but there's still 2/3 of the lap to go as he comes out the exit of turn 5, and he's got the long left and right of 7 and 8 to navigate. Keeps the car in 7th. Doesn't really want to clip the apex there, but you want to downshift for 5th, and then another downshift into 4th. Or maybe he stays in 5th, personal preference, but he's down to 3rd for turn 9, and turn 10 you can
Rando's
upshift
out.
as you can take it flat.
Rando's out
and
there.
Rando's retired. Oh, and you can see him there on the left hand side of your, or the right hand side of your screen for you looking back on Paul's Mercedes. So one Mercedes drives past the other as we see Rando out of qualifying, and he was
fastest as well.
It's the fastest as well. He's going to be 15th.
He didn't even have to come out.
He was safe. We're sitting here like just worrying about Gareth and 10th downwards, and Rando's just like, I'll need to come out and maybe put another lap in. I think that was a very bold game for himself, if I'm being entirely honest.
Scott's retired on the straight as well, I think. I think we'll see it.
We'll see it on board with Paul. What's happened here? Where's his car?
His car's...
Right on the racing line on Paul! On Paul!
My word.
Paul improved. And
it may not matter, I don't know. But it depends if we've got drivers improving anyway. I think the Baggy's not even improving. Nedclaw is, but that is a huge crash.
It's such a strange place to have the accident as well. Like it's not like he's just coming out of turn 14. It's like his car's halfway. It's halfway down the straight. He's crossed the finishing line, and I really don't understand how the cars went and had an accident there. It's just very unusual to have it just smack bang in the middle of the straight like that. And we're going to have Rando's car, Paul's car, and Nedclaw's going to drive into it.
Nedclaw was free.
Oh, and well,
Nedclaw was
losing.
free. That was
many.
Yeah. This is one of those glitches in the game. We say glitches, it just happens. Hopefully nobody else plows into them. Don't know who else is coming across the line, whose AI is coming across the line anyway. Jules pits. But yeah, you've just got 2 cars sitting there in the middle of the track. That's, 7 cars out?
So we've lost
8 cars out?
8? How many? Right, Dingle Dolphin made it through on 12 with a 32.
Yeah.
We've lost the 2 Mercedes, Rando and Paul. We've lost Nedclaw. We've lost Plum. Right. Rando, Paul, Nedclaw, Plum, Jord, Scott, Baggy Fan, Crush. We've lost 8 drivers instead of the usual 5, which is highly unusual. I mean, C4 as chaotic as Division 3 normally, like the chaoticness that the division normally brings. I don't think we've ever seen anything to that scale. I mean, we've seen drivers being, unfortunately, retired, like, because when you cross the line when the checker flags out, the AI take control of your car. And after that, you've got no control. If they drive into an accident, that's their fault and not yours, but you have to pay that particular consequence. And we've lost 8 drivers rather than the 5 that we normally lose in the first session. And also, so with that technically means we're only going to lose 2 in Q2.
Should only lose 2 in Q2.
Exactly, we should only lose 2. I mean, I'm not going to knock on wood or anything just yet, because you never just go all in on something in Division 3. No chance. There's always something that throws a spanner into the works. We've got some support from Iron Benz saying, "Hey, let's go Alpha Boys and let's go Craig." So Craig and the Alpha Boys got some support there. Seb Dove, I think that is actually Rando that's just commenting to us in the chat here saying my wheel disconnected in the wall in randomizers. He says Rando. And he says I just wanted to test the wheels, and he's went from P1 to P13. So that's a very unnecessary risk. But I mean, kind of as a driver, you do want to go out there and get a feel for your tyres, get a feel for the track. But I don't think he had any real need to push. I feel like that was just a big risk, and the rewards a one-way trip to the wall. But that's going to mean he's going to start in 13th at best. So he's going to be well in the mid-pack for the
12
race.
drivers. Yeah, in the middle.
Run. And that's going to be how do you really put it? Like, we've seen Rando show exceptional race pace in other races. Like, we saw him have a good showing in Vietnam. I think he was the one that kind of threw the strategy into the wind and just kind of went with what came along, and he ended up getting a strong top 5 finish that day as well. And we've seen him strong in Bahrain, and I'm even sure in Australia as well. He's one of the quickest in Australia as well. So he's generally been one to watch all season, and he's going to be in the mid pack for the for the race in China, and that's not going to help, especially considering that there's potentially going to be some wet weather on the way. So not only is he going to be in the mid pack, he's going to be in the midst of the spray as well. And we've got some cars out on track already.
A lot on mediums at the moment. Pretty much everyone who's out on track is on mediums.
So
and everyone bar 2 drivers have selected mediums.
He also says, I guess I'll have fun round turn 1. Oh, I've gone round turn 1 on race day is going to be an absolute trip. I'll tell you that right now. It's one of the tighter starts to a race. It's a fairly long run to turn 1, but it tightens up really quickly. Like, you have to let the car run wide on the main racing line and take a nice wide entry into 2, and then kind of hug the curb for 3 and let the car just gradually roll as you pick up speed on the exit, and you kind of get a general grip on the rear end of the car. So trying to get through that on lap 1, definitely the only advice I would give you is, I mean, unnecessary risks, just don't. I mean, wait until at least around into turn 5 and then think about them making some moves. Just make sure you get your car through turn 1, 2 and 3 in one piece. We saw Jittle in Division 1 unfortunately get caught up in the midst of some clustering up in the pack, and he went from like 14th into the back of the grid, and he couldn't really recover from that in Division 1. I can't really say too much about Division 2 though, because I've not watched it. Jamham says only 12 indeed. We lost the bottom 5, and we lost a few drivers due to their AI crashing on the straight. We lost Paul, Randall, and Randall had his own accident, but Scott was he had his stricken Ferrari on halfway down the pit straight on the main racing line. Then Paul crossed the line and qualified for Q2, and then he drove into the back of it, and then Scott's car was cleared, and then Paul's car was there. Then Nedclaw came across the line, and his AI took over and crashed out the back of Paul, and he retired. So we've had a bit of bad luck for some of the drivers there. He says great game. I mean, it's one of the few issues the game's got. We'll not go battling and bashing on about the game, but I mean, it's one of these things that we really hope the game gets on tope soon, because it's robbing drivers that are quick in qualifying and getting themselves into the next stage, and they can't even partake because the AI just crashes the car. I mean, I generally don't know what happened to Scott, because his car was already there. Like, his car was there well before we saw it. So
I'd love to know how he got into that position.
like the only thing I can really think of is that I'm on board with SPH, right? I'll explain it on board the SPH with Scott. So I'm on board with SPH as he comes through 14. His lap's already invalidated, so it's not going to count. But he's probably come through turn 14 and go right to the end of the curb, and it's just suddenly threw him off. That's the only thing I can think of, and even then the curb doesn't do that, really. It does it at the start, but not the end.
He's gone a long way down the straight to where he crashed. So and the only thing I think of is he's a bit like how, and it's a bit different about how Kimi Räikkönen back in that wet Brazil 2016 race where he had about 3 or 4 corrections on the steering wheel before he actually crashed. Maybe something like that. That's the only thing I can think of. But maybe he had a few corrections and he had one correction too many or something.
I think that's probably going to be a better answer to that particular question that mine is, but like it could just be one of the things where he just has, like you're saying, like just these multiple corrections and it's just ended up putting him in the wall. But it was just like a ricochet effect really as well, because it happened to Scott, then Paul hit the back of him, and then Scott's car disappeared, and then Ned Claw hit the back of Paul. So they've all lost out. I mean, Scott I think already was qualified in 16th, but he didn't improve. So he was the really on for a good lap anyway to get himself into Q2. Randall lost out on his own at turn 10 on the exit. I think he's just probably lit the car up on the curb on the outside and it's just threw him into the left hand side, and I think that's why we saw his car there. And then we'll just go to the usual 5, the other 5 through the usual means of elimination, being the slowest on the track. And not really too much we can say other than that, but we've been kind of avoiding some of the action in Q2.
Someone's off.
The solutions to Sprightly. Sprightly's ran wide on 6 and went onto the gravel trap on the outside of 7. So I don't know what's happening there.
Looks like he's going for a second push lap because he's only done a 52.1. So, and Crusher's left the session for some reason. I think I assume he's going to be coming back, so that means an automatic probably restart. With the
is that what that is?
Yeah, someone disconnects and that is that, and then so there's no bugs for the next session. Who's that going through?
That was SPH. He did the same thing as Sprightly, ended up in the same bit. I think it might have been the exact same type of incident that he had there, and I think he's just going to dive out the way for the racing point. And the Alfa Romeo of Jay Geddes, not Jay Geddes, it must be Jones 8. We'll just jump on board with Jones because he's out lap, so he doesn't even need to get out the way. But we'll jump on board with Jay Geddes, who actually was on his lap there, as he runs wide getting into turn 11 and then with the long right-hander at turn 12. And this is going to put a lot of stress onto that front left tyre here in China. That's going to be like there was when you can like in the race pace and the actual race trim, the front left you actually feel the understeer just due to the fact that it's overheating through turn 12, and it's the same through turn 1 and even turn 8 sorry, in the second sector as well. So the front left is probably going to be the main tyre that drivers will be trying their best to kind of conserve and try and manage, as we see Swag and Veg on fastest air fuels and Bug and remixes in second. It's a bit of a random order, but it's the same result at the end of that particular sentence. But we've got Gareth and Craig in the drop zone. It's only 2.5. We'll jump on board with Gareth. It says, right, he's on the mediums, so I was wondering why it's saying the softs, but he is on the mediums coming through the final turn up to the line. And you see the line the other time there, the 33.6 is not going to be enough. I feel like he's probably going to go back out again. But I'm assuming then, Mercs, if they're trying to get through on the medium tyres, the wet weather must be later on in the race,
well,
rather than the start.
I don't know, unless they're all just they've all had a meeting before and said, yeah, let's all just go on the mediums for Q2, regardless of the weather.
It's like one of the few unwritten rules that you get in league racing. It's like, right, we'll just go in the same tyre, might as well. But No, like, they're all in mediums, but are we going to potentially see some of the drivers trying to get through Q3 on the soft tyres? Do we feel like there is going to be some people in the grid that are going to just take their chances and just go for it, go in the red wall tyre and just get through to Q3 by that method?
Just to note, I only just realised this. Sweaty Confetti is the whole 1.1 seconds clear of the next car. Make that 5/10.
Yep, Craig's literally just half that deficit there, but Craig once again shown that he's got some serious pace here in China, trying to carry that momentum through from Vietnam. I'll jump on board with Jones actually invalidated his lap, so we're going to see most of the drivers in the pits at this stage. Have we seen anything else on track mix? This is normally a quiet time before they all come back into the final runs.
There's a car going slow with remix out of fuel. Jake Geddes has selected the soft compound tyres. Let's see what Jonesy does when he comes back around again. I don't know. It looks like he might have enough fuel, so...
It says he's... Sorry, Max, it says he's invalidated.
Yeah, he invalidated
that map's red.
He invalidated the final corner, so I think it was on his this and next lap invalidated. But it was probably going to charge up the battery anyway, so... His fuel light has just come on, actually, so I think we might see him diving into the pits.
I think he'll probably dive into the pits here. He does, so I think that's the sensible option there, as we're seeing Craig just running on the outside of the track there at turn 12 to let Gareth past. On the long right-hander at turn 12, SPH is just bringing a bunch of yellow flags out and run turn 12 as well. He's gone extremely slow. I think he might have actually run out of fuel, so he'll maybe be quite nip and tuck for the final runs, where normally with the times being a 1:32, like a high 32, I think that might be where the cut-off is if folk dive onto the soft tyres. But we should be expecting to see them beating Sweaty Confetti's 32.0 if they're going to go on the softs, because the tyre deltas between the softs and the mediums is like at least a second, I'm assuming, because the soft tyres here are a lot quicker, but they degrade a lot quicker. Like it kind of balances itself out there. But we'll just jump on board with SPH, is actually just coming to the pits. Scott Lane's on an outlap, so we'll
Dingle
get ourselves
Dolphins on there. On a lap as well at the moment.
Where is Dolphin? He's coming onto the big straight. I'll sit with Scott Lane as he start his as he comes through the final turn. Misses the apex, runs a bit wide, but he's escaping an invalidation there as he does start the lap. As he's coming up to the long sweeping right-hander at turn 1 here, you're continuously downshifting the car. But Scotland is taking a really tight line through there. It's going to compromise turn 2, but it does set him up for turn 3, runs really wide there as well, which is going to mean he's going to have to tighten the steering as he goes along there, which is going to slow the car down by a fraction of a 10 for 2 there. But he comes through the first sector delta line there, up 4/10 a second, so there is definitely improvement in there in the first sector for Scott Laney, along with potential track evolution. We'll need to really see how the times unfold once the session hits 0, but he's coming through the long left and now the long right, not really clipping the apex there, but down to 4th for the extra rotation there before back up to 5th and down to 3rd for turn 9 and continuously upshifting for turn 10 as well. Run the fraction wide there as well. Not only can unsettle the car, but it can also invalidate the lap as well as he goes purple in sector 2. He's got the long right-hander at turn 12 here. I don't know what kind of lines he's going to take through here. Just tightens the Renault up, keeps it quite close to the inside curb there and lets it run not too far out to the exit of 12, but he's on the big straight. DRS is going to open there, as we can see on the camera there, and it's going to be the hard braking zone of turn 13. It's a hard hairpin 10 in second gear, clips the apex perfectly there. Wee bit of wheel spin on the rears there, you could see it in terms of his throttle input there, and he's only got the last turn to navigate, clips the apex well there. I think he did take that a bit slower than he really wanted to, but a 32.4 is going to put him 3rd fastest and potentially safe on medium tyres.
Yeah, Jake Ellis is, I must have validated or something, he's only 9th fastest, and I have had some more weather news that apparently the the race is starting out dry, so it's got a generic wet race. Obviously not. So the race is starting out dry, so that's why we see the majority on medium compound tyres. But we do have Jonesy, who I imagine will go faster. Or probably go faster than all.
Oh, and we've got Jay Geddes, he's got his teammate there as well, and Jay Geddes was coming back onto the track at turn 5 there, and nearly got in his teammate's way there. Jonesy is on a crucial lap here, because he's not put a time in this session so far. He is on the softs, so he doesn't feel confident in getting through on the medium tyres, so he is going to go that bit quicker, and if he gets through, it'll be a soft tyre start. He has purple in sector 2 as he comes through turn 11 and turn 12. And he is up in purple, but he's not going to have time for another lap. He's only got 22 seconds left on the clock, so it's going to be this lap or bust for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's got his teammate behind as well, and if Jonesy puts in a decent time here, he's going to eliminate his teammate, because Jay Geddes he ran wide at turn 5, he's hampered his lap, and he's not going to have time to start another one. So Jonesy goes through, and Alfa Romeo potentially goes out anyway. Dingle Dolphin's in the pits, so he's not going to improve from 11th. As we see Jay Geddes diving into the pits there, Jonesy goes fastest, only by 18 thousandths a second. Ever Sweaty Confetti, who obviously in the pits as well. Sprightly in 3rd place on the soft tyres, as he's still on a lap. He is down by 10 seconds, it says there, but everybody is in the pits. But we'll just sit on board with Sprightly. He is still on his lap. He's no on his lap. He's no
session over.
No deploying his. That's it. He's no
Jules
deploying
is
his
backed
ERS
out.
in this straight.
Jules is backed out as well. I think he realised he was through. And then just didn't bother improving. So that would mean only Jonesy and Sprightly, who are the 2 people who are 11th and 12th, are the only people starting on soft compound tyres.
The soft tyres get them through to Q3, but it also does throw in a different strategy. We're not going to see the top 10 on the medium tyres. We're going to see a wee bit of diversity in terms of tyre selection, strategy selection there as well. As we see Sprightly retiring in the pits, and we've got Josie's car just on a cool down lap, and we've got Jay Geddes in front. No, we've got Jonesy in front. Jay Geddes dived into the pits, so he'll be the first of the runners to have a free choice of tyre as well. He did try and get through in the softs, but a mistake at turn 5 cost him any real improvement on his 33.3, and he's going to find himself outside the top 10. Dingle Dolphin, though, Mercs, I was quite surprised he never came back out to try and improve. He was sitting 11th for a good period of time there, and he didn't come back out at the end of the session to put a lap in. He was never safe, but he never tried to improve.
Yeah. Maybe he just ran out of time or something. I did see him go on for another lap, and he didn't improve. So I think it was about a quarter of a second down. But yeah, it's only less than 2/10 off getting into the top 10 shootout. Jay Geddes not far off himself. But P11 isn't the worst place to be starting, of course, so you'll see. Rain 20 minutes in according to the quali screen. So yeah, it could be. It probably favours the mediums if it's 20 minutes in. Well, it does favour the mediums, I think.
Oh, sorry. Rando also says 20 minutes is like 14 laps, and 14 laps is half the race distance. It's a 28 lap race here in Shanghai. So around about the halfway point, we're going to really see the weather take a turn for the worst if the telemetry and the weather updates are to be accurate. Finally ends, and we've lost Dingle Dolphin and Jay Geddes from Q2. We would have lost 5, but we already lost 8 in the first qualifying session, and it balances itself out by losing 2 this time around. But really, looking at the time sheets right now, Mercs, it looks to me that Sweaty Confetti is really carrying some serious pace here. If he's only 18 thousandths of a second shy of Jonesy, who's on a softer tyre, then definitely Sweaty Confetti might be one to watch in the race. I say might, I think he definitely will be. is he is on if he can qualify higher up. Like I mean, if he can qualify in the front row, starting on the mediums, then that is definitely going to set him in good stead. But also you can say the same for most of the drivers that are going through because they're also going to be starting on the medium tyres as well. So everybody's kind of the sheep in this particular situation by going on the mediums. But we've got 12 minutes left in the pole position shootout, and I want to hear, myself and Max want to hear from yourselves in the chat who you think is going to get pole position and who you think is going to get the top 3. And I will fire that question to my good friend Max. How do you think it's going to shape up?
I'm going to say Sweaty Confetti for pole position. Yeah, I'm going to say Sweaty Confetti with pole position. Then second will be Craig. Third will be Gareth. There you go.
I'll say the same, but I will say it'll be Craig that beats Gareth. So Craig will be joining Sweaty Confetti on the front row. We've got
That is what I said.
Crush saying, oh, you said Craig second. I thought you said
Craig second.
I was like, all right, well we're on the same boat then. Love to see it. We've got some predictions in the chat. We've got Jim21 saying Crafty, so the Crafty's Jester. An outsider shout there in our professional opinion there. Definitely got some serious pace to get him into Q3. Whether he'll get himself in the best seat is another matter. Would love to see somebody just out of nowhere take the pole to death, but I feel like Sweaty Confetti, Craig, Gareth, like the usual suspects are going to be a wee bit too much to handle. But I mean, I'm entirely open for a surprise. I am Ben says Crush says not SLR Crush. I heard Crush got the worst seat in that P20. So Crush will be starting from the back. Paul says Darren Paul for pole. Oh wait, maybe not. I mean, see, it's really hard to judge the pace of the drivers that lost it through the AI because they could have been in Q3 at the expense of other drivers. But Crush and Paul were saying Crush says not SLR Crush. I mean, I thought that said he was for Paul, but Crush will be starting in P20 and last, and Paul's going to be starting in 14th, I believe it was, when he crashed. But aye, this is going to be it. We're going to see the drivers. I'll get the telemetry up and that for you as well. I'm on board with Jonesy, who's right behind the Haas of Jules, starting the lap. The only person that's not out in this qualification so far is Sprightly, so Sprightly's kind of leaving it a few minutes. He's going to want to see some times on the board before he takes his Alpha Tauri out for a spin. But I'm on board with Jonesy, who was fastest in Q2, albeit he'll be starting on the softs. And he's got the Haas of Jules right in front as well, so he's not got the best setup for his first lap here in Q3. He's going to have the Haas's dirty air just swimming about in front, and that's really going to hinder that front end grip. So like, you'll maybe be experiencing a good deal of understeer through these long sweeping turns, and you can see it there. He's just drifting away for the apex, and the car's not properly slowing down as effectively as he would like it to be. It does look tidy through turn 9. Turn 10 he runs wide. He doesn't really hit the apex there on turn 10, but Jules is going at a reasonable enough speed. Jonesy again just missing the apex.
Oh my word, sorry. Crafty, the two Renaults just sitting there, the Alfa Romeo's coming along now. The two Renaults just, I don't know what they were doing, they were just tripping over each other, and then Crafty was coming on down the end of the straight at some real pace. And then he kind of did. He was going to go this way and that way, and then they just kind of just managed to get around and obviously set the fastest lap prematurely now. But they were just sitting there in the middle of the track, unfortunately.
So Renault really no singing for the same hymn sheet here early on in qualifying, nearly tripping over each other's pace there. We've got Paul saying in the chat it's dared, not dared, Paul. Sorry, Paul. I'll just call you Paul because I'm going to keep saying Darren because that's how I've always said it. I kind of is Dale, but it sounds, don't take it the wrong way, it does sound a bit weird on my tongue saying Dale Paul, but I'll try and correct that for future. So I'll try and get that nailed on the head for you next time. Dale Paul. No, I'm just calling you Paul, mate. I'm not changing. Sorry. But we've got the racing point. The sweaty confetti just get out of the way of the flying laps there through turn 6. He says, haha, Paul will do. I mean, you had no other choice, mate. It was Paul or Darren Paul. But SPH goes quicker. He goes quickest with a 30.8, so we're cracking in the 130s now. So SPH really laying down the gauntlet as we're just about to creep up to the halfway point. I've just sat on board with Remix through this lap after the kerfuffle they had at the hairpin here. We've got Remix on a flying lap as we see the Williams darting in to the pits there. We've got Remix just running through the final turn here up to the line. The monitors flash green and he goes P4, so it's a Renault 2-4. Scott Laney, SPH on the front row. SPH is the only driver in the 130s at the minute. I will suspect that will be broken once the track rubbers in to its fullest. It reaches its peak, tyres reach their optimum, and drivers have the most confidence at the end. Is it anybody out in a lap?
Sprightly. Last person to come out the pit lane. Bit out of sync with everybody.
Sprightly's kind of leaving it. See, Sprightly's kind of like, I'm thinking, Mergs, he's going to come through here and complete the lap anyway, because it is still a valid lap. He has come up to the line, so he's going to hit a 132.0, puts him 7th fastest. He's probably going to get back in and out again, because we have just over 5 minutes. You kind of want to be coming out for your final lap between 2 minutes 20 and 2 minutes. You leave it a wee bit later than that, you're going to be really cutting it fine. And I don't suggest that for any of the drivers. I think 2 minutes you should be at least right at the end of the pit lane or on the track. You kind of want to leave yourself with a wee bit of breathing room. Maybe like 20 second, 10 second. I mean, drivers in real life and in SLR and other general like racing leagues as well as we see Sprout just completely running wide at turn 9. But like the best conditions the track's going to be in is going to be right at the end, and that's why we see such a queue. Like,
Scott Laney's going again.
Oh, Scott Laney, let me see. Oh, he's putting the pedal to the metal here. He's got a very tight line through turn 1. Like, he doesn't really like letting that car roll out and run wide. He likes to keep it very tucked in, very close to the inside. And that really, in my mind, does hinder you through turn 2. Because you really want to kind of have the wide swooping entry, clip the apex quite late, and set yourself up for turn 3. You don't really need to clip the apex on 3 early. You kind of need to like get yourself a good bit around the turn first, and then just get like a good feel for your traction and your pedal. And get like a smooth exit. Jay Geddes says he was so close to Q3, so close yet so far. I mean, the soft comfort that Jay Geddes will be having in this qualifying session will be that he's going to be the first to have free choice of tyre, and he'll have a fresh set of tyres as well, so he's not going to be bombing through the soft tyres like everybody here.
He hasn't opened DRS.
Oh, he's back.
He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Oh, Scott, you're
fuel lights come on. I don't really know what he's doing because Craig, I'm pretty sure, is an out lap. So
I think Scott Laney's kind of shot himself in the foot with that, like, because he's just going to be coming back into the pit lane at a crawling pace, and he's going to have to get moved back into the garage, put on another set of softs, put that wee bit of fuel in, and he's going to be really tight for time. I don't think we'll see Scott Laney out, and if we do, I think he's going to miss we'll call for your fastest laps, and I think the cut will call on this session before he gets to the line to start his.
Yeah.
So
Craig is then first man. Well, hopefully he'll be the first man set. We need that lap after having a poor first run. To get a good position. I haven't got any purple sectors or anything. Sprightly's retired. He must have only one fresh set of tyres, so he's done the best that he could do.
if he stays P7, I mean, Sprightly in the top 10, it's a really strong result. Both Alpha Tauris in the top 10, you've got both Reynolds in the top 10, and then you've just got like a general mix. You've got the Red Bull Gareth, Williams the Jester, Joe's in the Haas, Jones in the Alpha, SPH sitting in pole position in the McLaren, and Confetti for Racing Point. So we've got a general mix, and then we've got two teams with two drivers through. So that's a small comfort and good effort from them. But Craig goes fourth fastest, so Craig's not going to go for another lap mix because he's just
No.
coasting now. He's no planning a gain. So Craig will be sitting fourth. Whereas Confetti in all this, he's actually on a lap, up by 66 thousandths of a second through sector 1 though. It is definitely an improvement. It would see him jump from the second road to the first, but SPH is still quite a good bit away in pole position at the moment. He is actually back out on a lap again, so we'll maybe need to jump on board him at some point.
Yeah, he's ran wide, but I think it's allowed it somehow. Yeah, he's gone faster still with a 130.7.
And SPH is just making that pole position that little bit more secure here. Sweaty Confetti's no improving at a mass rate here. He's only been improving by a couple of hundredths here and there. He's going to need a mighty last sector if he's going to try and challenge SPH into the pole position. We see Crafty's just jumping up to fourth place there, right there on the side of our screens there. But we'll sit on board with Confetti through the final turn, and it's only a straight dash to the line. It's going to be a 130.753, and it's going to be too close to call. I was going to say 2/10 for whatever reason there, but it's 500ths of a second off the pole time, so that last sector for Sweaty Confetti there in the Racing Point was mighty. We've got a McLaren spun gone slowly in the second sector. I think he's run out of fuel. He must have made a mistake somewhere on the lap, but Sweaty Confetti's not going to go again. He is just going to chill. Who else we've seen? Jonesy's up to fifth. Remix on the second row though. Just
That's close.
The McLaren, the Racing Point there. So people starting to kind of find their true pace here and get themselves into the 130s.
Gareth. No. He's just lost
and
it.
he was up.
He just lost it on the traction coming out of the hairpin, and he tried to save it. And that's unfortunate.
SPH is in the chat saying way. So, I mean, tip my hat to you, son. It was a brilliant son. I don't really ever call anybody son, so you can take that as you may. But SPH we proving myself and Merckx wrong. He proved just every wrong. Like SPH was just like that dark horse in the session there. We never really expected too much for him, and in the end up he just delivers right at the death. And I mean, 400ths of a second, it's really close between the top three, but SPH is the one that comes out on top, and myself and Merckx get a solid 1 out of 3 for our predictions for the top three. We did say Sweaty Confetti would get pole, but I mean, I'll take the point for getting them in the top three. No, SPH, I mean, we've never really seen your laps. We just saw them, and we just saw your time flash up purple on the bottom of the screen, and your name jumping up to the top of your screens. But it's going to be a McLaren Renault powered front row, when Renault is arguably the weakest engine in real life. But I mean, is it? But no, SPH remix Sweaty Confetti. So it's a Renault in Scott Laney, Renault 2.4. Crafty's Jester there was an outside shout. He was going to start on a strong P5. Jonesy got through on the softs. I can't mind who it was that went through on the soft with him, but he's going to be starting on the softs from 6th place. Craig and 7th in Alpha Tauri. Jules in 8th, qualified in 8th in Q2, qualifies 8th here. And Gareth, after a small mistake in a bit of a heavy right foot on the exit of turn 13, the hard hairpin at the end of the big straight, saw him fail to improve on his time, and he's sitting 9th, sprightly retired with 2 minutes remaining, and he's going to be starting 10th in the other Alpha Tauri. And that is qualifying. The skies have went from a clear blue to a dark grey, and I think we have just missed the bad weather for today. But we're definitely going to see some dark clouds swimming over the circuit halfway through the race, according to the driver's information. I think that was a thoroughly enjoying qualifying session.
Yeah, it was. I think nice healthy competition at the front. We got that well, not completely wrong, but we got it wrong. In the end, Sweaty Confetti third, not too far off pole position, but SPHH with a stunning lap. You can say the same about Remix as well. An equally great lap. Gareth will be disappointed with 9th after being on a decent lap as well. Yeah, it's set to be an interesting one.
Definitely. We saw a lap just being pulled at the back pocket of SPH there. Like, I mean, it was one for pace generally throughout the session, but in the end of he's just managed to find the few tenths that he needed and was able to secure his place at the front. But I think, to my understanding, and I think you were saying this in qualifying as well, we are going to have to start up a new lobby. We did lose Crush midway through Q2. He said that the game just dashboarded, or the Xbox just dashboarded, so and we are seeing people leaving, so we apologise for the inconvenience, and we are going to have to set up a new lobby. So please just bear with us. You've got myself and Merx here, so if you want to fire in any predictions for the race, predict your top 3 days, and if you're brave enough, predict your fastest lap as well, and just generally pitch any questions, queries that you've got for myself and Merx, and we'll do our best to answer them, and we'll see what we can do. But it's been a relatively quiet chat. I mean, we've got, it says on my screen we've got 30 viewers, but we've got 27 on my phone. So if you've got anything that you want to ask, feel free to do so. Someone says great job in the comms. I greatly appreciate that, mate. We look forward to. I think it was how many's brother on earlier for Division 2, wasn't it? So I very much look forward to hearing that later tonight. And if this is the first race of the weekend that you're watching, please be sure to check SLR's other divisions from last night in Division 1 and earlier today in Division 2, where our good friend Southerners was on the commentary team. So we very much look forward to hearing that. I've not watched the race yet, so I'm not wanting any spoilers, please, thanks. No, I very much look forward to hearing you in that, and I greatly appreciate the praise. And I mean, I really enjoy commentating, to be fair. Like, it's something I actually take a good bit of enjoyment out in my day, and it's good to have it with you. Okay, that sounds really sappy, but I mean, there's really too much else going on in the chat, so I mean, might as well have a nice wee soft moment there. But the race itself generally looked like it was going to be really cloudy. It generally does look like the rain is literally just a stone's throw away. So like it says 20 minutes. It's one, right, if we're going to try and do some quick math, it's going to be 30. It's a 130. I'll say a 130 race lap. So 3 minutes and 2 laps.
130 is a bit ambitious for a race lap.
6. I mean, right, a 132 then.
Or like a 134. 5, something like that.
Right. Right, a 4 and a 5. Right, we'll jump between that. Right, so let's just do, for the sake of just trying to round it up, right, we'll do a 130. And we'll do a 130, 3 minutes. Times that by... So 3 minutes times that by 6. I mean, it could actually come a lot earlier. Like, it could come at lap 10. Really. Between lap 10 and I mean, between
Yeah, it was
no,
still.
no 10. 10's a bit early. 10's a bit early.
Yeah,
Maybe say between 12 and 16.
yeah.
And
Well, they've got to
that
make a custom weather now, so could be completely different. Could come earlier or later, but I'm sure it'll come at some point.
definitely.
So it'll be interesting end to the race, regardless of what happens. So we still wait for an invite to a new lobby.
I'm still in the same game with Scott Laney and Remix. The two Renault drivers there just sitting like, oh, where's everybody else away? I don't know where they went. Alright, I've got my invite, so I will invite you back. Alright, okay, right, okay. So you've just got the invite before me. Right, yep, that's good. That's all well and fine. But race itself. We're gonna have to remember there is 8 drivers in the top 10 going to start in the mediums. I still can't remember who the other driver is. I think Jonesy was one that went through on the softs. I can't remember who the other one was for the life of me. Sprightly, that's who it was. And Sprightly went through on the tyres as well. So Sprightly might be one to look for on the race, because the soft tyres is probably your best starting tyre. You're going to generally have better grip, better traction off the start than the mediums. The delta between the two is at least a second. But that's at the expense of higher degradation, higher wear, higher temperatures as well. So drivers will be feeling a lot of pressure once the softs kind of hit past their peak. But no, I'm trying to really think. I mean, on the start, everybody does want to try and make up places. So we will potentially see. I mean, there is a few fast starting drivers on the grid, and I mean, I say a few. I can only really recall one. But like, if there's one driver that I know that starts quite well, is Scott in the Ferrari. Like, he had a few good starts last season. He had a good start in say Australia. I could be wrong. And he's normally one to watch off the starts as well. I still remember his, like, when one of my first few races commentating for SLR, he went round the outside of like 3 people at Hungary. He went from like 60 second or something. So that was like one of his best starts that I've seen, and he'll probably try and carry that through. I think the smartest move for the drivers is to maybe try and shift your car to the outside, because if you're going to go on the inside, it's just going to really get bundled up. It's really going to get a bit claustrophobic, because everybody's going to have to really slow the car down. It's going to be a really tight sequence of turns. You're going to have cars left and right. There's normally quite a good bit of space on the outside, and there is, and because that's the main racing line as well, there's a good amount of grip out there as well. Like, I mean, also the start. Like, I mean, start is a long sweeping right-hander. You want to clip the apex early, but if you can sacrifice running wide there while everybody's bunching up on the apex and trying to keep tight lines through too, then you can try and swoop round the outside and try and creep in somewhere and try and filter in the traffic and gain some places. And just that also not only gives you a lot of breathing room, it keeps you out of trouble as well, in my mind. That's probably my 2 cents on the start. It's going to be hard for the first few laps in the dirty air. We are going to see some chopping and changing, some battling up and down the field. It is Division 3, anything can happen. We've seen races being completely flipped on its head and blown up into bits. It's been quite the division. It's always one for mayhem in some form. We've seen in Vietnam last week. I mean, you've seen it better than me, but there was like a big incident near the back of the grid coming through turn 3 and 4 in Vietnam, and we've seen Sprightly facing the wrong way. We've seen the McLaren Nidclaw retiring. We've seen like quite a few cars in there as well. Gareth had a really strong showing in Vietnam, and then he clipped the wall and lost his wing, and his strategy just kind of went in the bin for there. We've seen Craig just have a strong drive last week in Vietnam, he'll be definitely looking to try and try and get a similar result in China. He is starting fifth. It's not seventh in the AlphaTauri. He's starting seventh. If anybody's got anything to ask us, please feel free to do so.
I was going to say about that incident last week. One of the perks of being a steward, you get to see majority of views from each different driver. Turns out what caused the whole thing was coming out the left-hand. Jules lost the rear end, crashed. He lost his wheel going into the wall, and that just caused a concertina effect. And then, everyone else was a passenger after. And obviously, with the safety car glitch, obviously with the safety car glitch at that track, it didn't help them at all. So now the safety car is fixed. Well, should be fixed anyway. So that it never happened again. But and then there was a 3-car crash coming out of turn 1 as well, where they all got connected on each other. So it was a bit hectic at the start. So hopefully it'll be a bit calmer this time around. But we'll wait.
It's definitely. I think China is. See, because it's like a swooping right-hander, and it is quite quick. Like, it's quite a quick right-hander, and then it just like suddenly tightens up. Like, I feel like drivers like underestimate just how much speed they've got at the start, because it is quite a short run down to turn 1. It's no one of the shortest, but it's short enough, and like, it's so easy, I think, in my opinion anyway, it's so easy just to kind of misjudge the speed of the car in front, or the turning angle with a car next to you, and you can easily just clip them, bang wheels, maybe see a wee bit of carbon fibre just getting clipped off your car. We've got Smelly Socks in the chat saying, are they restarting qualifying? They are not restarting qualifying. We don't have the time for another quali session. And they're going to take. We've got the results for qualifying. The lobby host is currently organising the grid as we speak. We are getting that sorted, so we can only apologise for the delay once again. Rando says, is it starting wet? We don't have any input or control in that. We do not know. We know probably just as much as yourself. I would assume it starts dry because that's what we were told in qualifying. SLR Liam says custom grid and weather. It'll be sorted soon. No worries. Just kind of reiterating that message there from him there. But no restart in qualifying. We've got the results already, and it is going to be dry to wet. Well, it says dry, then wet, then wet. So I'm assuming the wet was going to get even wetter if that message just to really get away for anybody. But
yeah, he has got full qualifying on at the moment, so that will actually be quite hard to sort the grid out.
That'll be quite inconvenient. Kante, no Kante, I've read, that's a very dark name. I thought that says Kante. But Kenty848 says SBH, H for the win, I'm guessing. Oh, if you think Polte victories are plain sailing here, you are pretty much mistaken. That is not how it goes here. We don't do that here. We said the same thing about Gareth last week, and he ended up 7th on the day. 7th or 8th on the day. He was like at the tail end of the points. So we said the same thing about Gareth, just completely threw the cuss on him and completely ruined him. So we apologise to Gareth for that. So SPH for the win. I don't think anybody has won from pole yet in the first 3 races. So no,
Plain Teddy obviously had his when he was in Division 3. Obviously, he was leading the whole time and then crashed on lap 28 and 29 in Australia. Rando, yeah, I think Rando started on pole in Bahrain, but he forgot to select the hard tyres to the end and ended up going on a two-stop. And obviously, last week we had was it? It was Gareth, wasn't it?
What for Poe in
Pole
Vietnam? I got
position.
Poe and then
Yeah, so
in
Gareth had
Vietnam.
pole, and then obviously he had well, struggled at the start anyway of that race. So yeah, it's not a given. Pole position hasn't been on pole position at the moment has a 0% strike rate. So
It's definitely no. I mean, like being fast in qualifying is also it's quite a feat in itself. It's quite a good feeling. You feel really confident getting into the race, but the race always has other ideas. It does say always a first. I mean, it's true. It could, but I mean, would I put money on it? Probably no. But and that's no disrespect to SPH. We just know how these races go. We don't. I mean, look at us. We didn't even predict SPH in the top three, and then there he was. And then we predicted. We predicted. Sweaty Confetti, Craig, and Gareth, and then only Sweaty Confetti managed the top three, and that was third. Like he barely just got third. I mean, I don't say barely, but he could have so easily got pole with an extra couple of hundreds a second there. But no, the top three were literally split between 52 thousandths of a second. So it just shows you how close it is at the front. Before there was a 3/10 of a second drop to Scott Laney in fourth, and Jonesy in fifth. But you never know. Kenty's got confidence in SPH finishing first, and there could be a first. So you never know. But Merx, in terms of the track, what is your personal opinion on China as a circuit?
I like the track. I don't think I've ever really gone that well around here, but it's not the worst track yet. So I think it's gonna be a struggle on the old tyres, and then I think if you make a mistake, you're going to be punished. So if you get slightly offline, you're usually punished. One of those tracks, really. The only place you can really go offline and get away with it is probably turn 1 and 2. So, well, turn 1, but into 2. So it's a challenging track, but it is a good, nice track to drive. In the wet as well, it's not too bad. I had a lot of experience from last season's top tier race, where I think we had a full wet qualifying and almost a full wet race. I say full wet race, an intermediate race, but I think we had about a few laps in the end for dry, so I had a lot of wet running then. So used to wet around here as well.
And China's normally one for. I mean, like having a wet race in China's it's no unusual. Like it's no unheard of. Like there is wet races here, been in the past, in league racing as is in real life as well. Like there has been a few wet races here in China. China, for me personally, I'm probably going to agree with you. I do really enjoy the circuit. I mean, I don't like the fact that the tires degrade and overheat is a bit higher here than it is anywhere else, really. I don't like that, but I mean that's just a characteristic of the track. Like it does have a nice flow to it. I do like the middle sector turns, the long sweeping right, left and right are 7 and 8. Turn 1, the turn 1, 2 and 3 feels very similar to Malaysia, as we're starting to see some ticks being checked in the lobby there to get the session back underway. But the first three turns, I really just feels like Malaysia. If it kind of feels like Herman Tilke kind of ran out of ideas on how to start this track. But I mean, for the first couple of turns, it really kind of like makes up for it with the long left and right, and even the big straight as well. That's going to be our main. That's going to be our main overtaking spot in this race, 100%. That straight's like a kilometre long. DRS as well. I mean, like, it's going to be a challenge for the drivers to try and get through the long right-hander of 12 in the dirty air of somebody. Like, the dirty air always means the driver behind him can drop back. But if the driver can just tuck in and can like just tuck under the rear wing and just stay with the car in front, then we're going to see some overtaking into that hairpin right at the end, and they've got a full car to make the move. So you can make the move early and then have to defend it because there's still so much to the straight left. Turn 1, it's not as long, but it's still a prime opportune moment for a move. Turn 5 as well, at the end of the first sector into the second, that's probably like another manoeuvres. Anywhere else really on the track isn't really too interesting really. Long left and right, the double left and 9 and 10's quite hard on the tyres. Small mistake there can cost you a race. It cost Randall a place in Q2 after being fastest. I mean, he was probably like, looking at the times now, he probably could have been challenging SBH and Remix for pole position. Definitely looked quick early on, but he'll be starting from 13th, which is not ideal for him. The skies look clearer, so not as dark as what it was in the original lobby. I'm assuming there is still a small interval, so take that as you may. Use that as your toilet break, get your kettle on, get your dinner in, get yourself comfy, buckle yourself in your couch, your bed, your hot tub, whatever you're watching. And we hope to deliver another exceptional race here in the SLR's 3rd division.
Yeah, I think it was overcast, wasn't it? So, slightly different. I guess it's not ideal when you have to do custom weather, so probably means the rain will come a bit later on in the race. Whether it'll get to heavy rain, we'll wait and see. We obviously won't know until it gets to that point, but yeah, we're definitely seeing the intermediates at some point. The guys on the mediums will have to stretch their tyres further than they may have wanted to, which may help the soft tyre runners out a little bit as well, so we'll see.
And in terms of there is like a couple of drivers out of position as well. Like, I think Gareth's maybe a bit out of place in P9. We've got Randall, we mentioned again in 13. He looked really quick, so he's right in the mid pack. So we've got like a couple of drivers just not really wanted to be. I mean, of course, nobody really wants to be in the mid pack. It's arguably the most dangerous place on the grid. But nobody really wants to be in the mid pack. And the drivers like Gareth and Randall, I feel like maybe they could have been a bit further up the grid there, but unfortunately mistakes cost them a mere solid result. Paul as well. Paul was quite quick. He had got himself comfortably through into Q2, and then he just drove into the back of Scott's. Well, his AI drove into the back of Scott's stricken Ferrari on the pit straight. Still a mystery to us how it actually managed to get down that far before crashing into the tyre. Just want to say, we want to hear from yous, and I'll get Merx to chip in his opinion as well, but we want to see who is going to be your top 3, and if you're brave enough, tell us who's going to set the fastest lap. And I'm going to fire that question to Merx.
Who would be a betting man on the Vision 3 races? I don't think anybody would be. If there was a bet for Carnage, I think that would be evens at the moment. So, yeah. That's hard. It's hard. I'm gonna say... Wow, that's a hard question. I'm gonna say Rando will win the race.
For 13th.
Yeah.
That's brave. I like it. I love a risk. I love that. Who's going to be your second and third?
And then I'm gonna say. I'll say Scott Laney in second and Sweaty Confetti in third. Yeah.
100%
That was-
final answer.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest, what I'm going to witness in these next 28 laps. But yeah, that's my final answer.
It's really, I mean, like, see, to be fair, like, it is really difficult just to put a pin in somebody and say, right, you're going to win. You're going to be literally just like, it's no as like we don't have a particular standout driver in this league. I think there is like some drivers we kind of fancy winning races, getting podiums, but at the same time, it's so easy just for something to go wrong, but damage somewhere, a mistake. It's so easy. I mean, I'm probably going to say, I'm not saying Rando for the win. I don't think he'll get the podium either. No, I don't want him tell me otherwise in the chat, and I definitely don't want him to tell me off when if he does. So, but I'll probably say, I think Craig can go back to back. And I think SPH is going to be second, and I'll probably put Sweaty Confetti third. So we've got the same thinking in terms of Sweaty Confetti. We both said we get pole, he go third. We both say he's going to finish third. And I mean, I'm not going to throw any particular statements out there because we don't want to take responsibility for that. We've got Kenty saying, I'm assuming he still says. Oh, sorry.
So yeah, Jay Geddes and Baggy fan on the hard compound tyres.
So they're really.
Oh, there's a crash already.
Nothing new there, Division 3. That's pretty much a given. But no. Aye. We've got Kenty saying, I'm assuming he's still saying SPH for the win.
Yeah.
He says Jones is second, Craig third, so he's got his own opinion there. I mean, I don't want to.
Oh, some more people have been disqualified.
We've got
so after
Owen.
Plum and Jaws, and then Poland. Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And SPHH has almost binned it from the lead of the formation lap as well. So looks like we're in for a good race.
Oh, definitely. It's an easy mistake to make. I mean, I remember the last time somebody made a mistake to the grid on the formation lap. It wasn't the formation lap, I was about to say Max Verstappen, but that was on the way to the grid. The last person to actually crash on the formation lap, to my memory, was DC, Scotland's very own. But he crashed on the way to the grid back in Monza when he was driving for Williams in 1995. That was his first pole, and he binned it on the way to the lap. And he was actually out of the race, and then they red flagged the race, and then he got back into pole position, which was a bit weird at the time. But that's how the rules work.
It suddenly got a bit overcast, actually.
Sorry.
No way.
It's definitely just come out of nowhere. Like, it generally did look lighter. Like, we're not carrying on here. We're not trying to like pull your leg or nothing, but that it generally did look lighter. We are seeing them going back to the grid though, and we're going to try and get a good camera angle. But anyway, we're going to see the green flags in the background there, as you can see, as can I. We're going to watch the 5 lights come on in the gantry. It's the colour of the screen just completely blinds me there. But we've got the lights on, we're at 3, we're at 4, and we're at the final light. We've got the 5 lights on, the cars are revving and ready to go. And the lights go out, and we're gone racing here. As we see a Mercedes at the background there, darting out already. They're trying to make up a few places there. But it's SPH getting a clean getaway there, and Payock Remix going up the inside there, and that's close there. But Sweaty Confetti keeps third, but he's going to have Jonesy up the inside, already up 2 places, and he's going to make it free. As we see yellow flags coming out in the first, and a Haas of Plum DNF Plum there at the background. He's got caught up in some contact somewhere as we see Jules running extremely wide on the exit of turn 3, and it's 3 wide here between Jules, Sprightly, and Randall's having to dart back out of that, and he's going to have the Ferrari of Jod going round the outside, and he's going to try and keep it in the inside and make the move stick and keep the place. We're going to see everybody starting to kind of single file here through turn 6 and 7, and the big winners that I can notice off there is we're going to see Jules taking a long way round here through turn 7 and into turn 8. He still keeps his place as we get the strategy up, and Randall's back up the inside of Jod. So both those drivers making some successful gains off the start there. Randall's up 2, Jod's up 5. He's the biggest gainer, while Jay Geddes is the biggest loser, losing 4 places. And Randall's going up the inside of Jules here as well, and this is for the final points position. It's still lap 1 of 28, and we're still taking a really wide line, and Jod's up the inside there as well. So Jules just losing places hands over fist at the moment, but he's going to tuck into the slipstream of the Ferrari in front. And from SPH in front, it's Remix, Jonesy up 3 places to 3rd, Sweaty Confetti's lost 1, as is Scott Laney in 5th. Craig's up by 1, Jester's down 2, Sprightly's up 2, and we're going to see a McLaren.
Oh, I think Rando's just got damage.
Oh, and there's damage there. There's carbon fibre getting thrown about the back of the circuit there, and I don't know whose it is. It definitely looks to be the Mercedes of Randall. Is he into the pits? Yes, he is. The car's starting to run wide through the final turn there. We saw Jules and Dolphin running wide there, but we're seeing Dolphin on the defence here. Is we're starting to see the timing glitch once again. We've seen it every other race so far, so we might as well just get it in this race as well. And Nedclaw's apparently up 10 places, Crush up 13, but that is false information, so we're going to try and get them corrected for you once again. Jonesy is definitely not first, neither is Craig. It is still SPH in the lead, and we'll try and just jump back to that battle as we see. I'm just getting thrown always here. I'm generally getting the idea who I'm really watching at this point. SPH is off! He's off! Oh, he's away! Oh, he's run wide on turn 7. I don't know what's happened there, but he's just fell right down at the back of the order, and this is why we don't bet on the pole man. This is why we don't, but I mean, he can still, I don't think the win's out the question entirely. Anything can still happen in this race, and especially when the rain comes. But Jules next is really looking like he's struggling for grip generally, as we see the Nedclaw diving up a 2.
Jesus. Oh my word.
Nedclaw in a page out of Kobayashi's book there with a lunge.
Wow. Deadpool's just running to the back of him as well. The other Mercedes got damaged. A double disaster for the Mercedes drivers.
Mercedes really no looking like the sharpest tool in the shed here at this
George
is in the race. And
George, by the way, has just gone for a massive dive bomb, and that's put Gareth out of position. And Sprite. Oh, hello.
Sorry, there was just like 3 wide going into the hairpin there, and Paul gets squeezed by the Ferrari on the right and the Alfa Romeo on the left. So he really
it started raining,
and it's already starting to rain. See, they 20 minutes. They must have went in quite quick there because it's starting to rain. It's starting to rain here in China.
Oh, I saw an end plate come off again. I think that might be Jules. Yes. Jules
Really just he's just no luck like he's packing any real punches here on the early stages. He's lost 4 places. He had a really strong qualifying in 8th, and he's just went backwards as we're seeing Paul darting up the inside. Dingo Dolphin, and there's carbon fibre once again flying off one of the cars there in the background. I don't know if it's Paul, I don't know if it's Dingo Dolphin, but Dingo Dolphin's definitely got a good bit of understeer here, and it's definitely no weather, and he's getting tapped there by Jay Geddes for good measure there as well, and he's just losing places, and I think he's got front right plate is completely off the car, so he's going to have to come back into the pits. He's got massive understeer. That's why we're seeing him plummet down the order.
Can I just quickly interject? Yes. SLR Jordan's just made a lovely move on Crafty, and he's up 12 positions from 17th on the grid. And
I apologise to the viewers there for missing that move, but SLR Jord is the one to be talking about. Merckx has just said he's up 12 places there. He is up from 17th to 5th in 3 laps. We've just started the 4th lap. He is up
Crafty's
to 5th,
in.
as we see Crafty's Jester pull into the pit lane.
I'll stay on board with him and see what he goes on.
You can tell me and the viewers what tyre he goes on while I'll run you through the grid here. He's looking in the back of Scott Laney, Merckx. He's absolutely packing some heat in that Ferrari. The Ferrari's just like, I'm going to chuck this in here. And that's exactly what he's done. He's gone up the inside, and this is 4th place. He's up to 4th already. And he's fighting with Scott Laney, and I'm trying to get a good camera angle, and I can't. But it's going to be, and it's the Renault up the inside at turn 5, but John's going to have to switch back, and he's got the better traction as the rain is heavily coming down onto the track. The grip's not going to be there, the track's going to be cooler, it's going to be colder, there's going to be no grip. You're going to see drivers starting to understeer a little bit. Oh no, he's don't throw it away!
Oh, what a drift that was. What a save.
Oh,
they're on inners, by the way. They're on inners.
He's definitely showing some exceptional racecraft to get himself so far up the grid and then save the car, but Scott Laney's going to come back at him once again up the inside, but John's going to have it through turn 12
wow.
in yellows. And what's happening there, I can see a Williams, and it looks like Baggy Fan losing a few places there. Yellows are out for him. He's going to be chased down by Dingo Dolphin there as well. Intermediates for Jester and Scott in the Ferrari, who's going to be driving at the back of the field, but we're going to just ride on board with Sprightly, who's losing to Gareth in a drag race here, but the drag reduction system on the Red Bull is open, so that's why we're losing some speed there for the Alpha Tauri. SPH, after his mistake,
they're all going off the track. They're all going off the track.
Back up to, and you can just see, and Scott Laney's gone slow too. Everybody's just not getting any grip, and still drivers can run. Like Sprightly's nearly lost it. I genuinely don't know what's happening here, but Scott Laney's just going to go back round again for another lap on a wet track.
It was worth the double stack, I think.
Oh, did you say Scott Laney was on for the podium there?
Baggy just hit the wall on the pit lane. He's managed to...
Everything's on. Scott's drifting out of turn 3, Sprightly still going round to, and they're just going to be tippy-toeing through
Where's Crafty?
This final lap.
Oh, Gareth spun coming out of the pit lane. He's on the hard compound tyres.
Oh, I can't fin anybody! Oh, he's spun, he's facing the wrong way, and he's still on the hard. So Gareth's race has just gone from bad to worse here as we see Paul coming out the pits just behind. And we've got the Ferrari of Scott just coming round to, he's up to 13th. In the intermediates, we've still got some drivers on the mediums. We're just going to see some drivers just chopping and changing. The leaderboard's just going to be completely shuffling about as we've still got some drivers on the dry tyres, and everybody is shifting to intermediates here. The skies are grey and full of rain, and the rain has
Sprightly's round
to show up.
Sprightly's round his spun.
Oh, and he's in the wall too. He's at turn 6. No, he's at turn 10. He's at turn 10. He's on reverse. Sprightly, your teammate's right there.
Wow.
Wait for your teammate. Nah, no, you can. No,
look at Scott Laney struggling back to the pits as well as his teammate overtakes him.
It's just tippy-toeing. He's not even. Oh, he's full throttle now, but it's Remix that's benefited out of all this. He's up into the lead, and it's Jonesy and Sweaty Confetti's there in 4th place, which will be a net 3rd once Scott Laney pits. Let's see how he slows down for the hairpin. He's just gliding. It's like aquaplaning. He's just sliding off the circuit at this point. It's just, and you can just hear the car. The car's like, even though he's struggling to put the throttle down in these conditions, you can hear the cars even starting to when he's actually trying to do it. So the car's just generally struggling with the conditions. We see him darting into
Sprightly's it's gone again. Oh, there's car park at this right-hander here with Gareth's slow car.
And we've got Jules that's just done a Lewis Hamilton into the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton drifted wide into the pit lane many years ago in his rookie season, and Jules has just decided to repeat defeat into the hairpin there as we see yellows out in turn 1. That's for Scott Laney. I don't know why Scott Laney's at yellow flags for him. He's no spinning, he's no going excessively slowly. He's just... I mean, Scott Laney, in a sense, is actually quite fortunate not to have lost as many places as he could have. Like, he could have been further back. Like, he could have been maybe where Crush is, 13th. Maybe just behind him. Because that's the next big gap. And we've got Randall in for wets. We've got wet tyres coming on. Some drivers aren't even after the dry tyres yet. And
wet
Randall
tyres?
onto the wets.
That is well, the rain's coming down quickly, but... Is it going that quickly? Sweaty Confetti, by the way, is all over the back of Jonesy.
I'm going to just shift to him I mean, I'm just going to do that. If it's too slow, I'm just going to shuffle. I'm going to get Sprightly in for the wets tee. Is it, in your opinion, is it really wet enough for the full wets just yet? It still enters in
No
that.
chance.
But we're going to see Sweaty.
No chance.
Sweaty Confetti's tucking right up behind the Alfa Romeo here. And this is for second place. Jonesy was the prediction for Sunday to get second, but I mean, it's still only lap 6 and literally anything can still happen. But Jonesy, after starting 5th on the grid, is up into second already. No, he's 6th in the grid, sorry, my apologies. He's been up from 6th to 2nd. Sweaty Confetti started 3rd, stays 3rd.
It's not the right tyres. No chance. It was too slow. Baggy Fan. Oh, Baggy Fan's just hit the back of Crush. The braking zone, I believe he's lost a large amount of his front wing, which is unfortunate. So he's going to be venturing into the pit lane again.
Yeah.
It's wide.
I'm just going to jump on board with Gareth because he's right behind Randall. Randall's on the full wets, and I mean he's on the full wets, right? But his car's just skating. Like it's just sliding. Like you can see him. I was on board with Gareth there. You just see the car. Like you can see the front wheels just like having to correct themselves all the time, and that's just showing you how much work Randall's really putting in to his steering input just to stop the car from spinning. As we see Baggy Fan coming in for full wets, so drivers really thinking it's ready for full wets. But really, I don't think we're at that stage just yet. I mean,
we wait and see on that one because it is getting very wet at the moment. See, maybe it's a bit early for him, but I think he must have heard me say that I predicted him for the win because he hasn't really had a great race so far.
And like, see, that's the thing as well. Like, see when you're at the back, see when you're Baggy Fan, Randall, Sprightly, like we're on the wets. Do you really sit on Sweaty Confetti's just getting a bit an oversteering moment on the exit there? Jonesy's picking up penalties for warnings, so drivers really know finding their comfort zones with these changing conditions. So as a driver on the wet tyres, do you really just throw everything out the window and just say, right, I'm going to do this, and then that's what happens? Like, do you really think there's a gamble worth putting on?
If say Jeff had come on the radio as they're coming in for intermediate, said it's going to be wet in 5 minutes time, then yeah, I think it's worth a gamble, to be honest, if you can survive those couple of laps. As Williams has spun, I think that's Baggy Fan.
So Baggy Fan once again.
He's on the wets.
In the grip. Oh, and we've got Alpha Tauri gone slow at turn 10. That is probably going to be Sprightly. He's actually on the brink of being lapped. Remix on lap 8 of 28. I'm on board with Remix here as it is. He's just building that gap. He's 6.8 seconds ahead. He's managed to call the pit strategy. He's managed to call the change condition. We were told it was going to be 20 minutes into the race, and then the next thing we knew, it was raining on lap 3. But we're going to just use this brief moment to see what's happening in the chat. Ranga says, scenes indeed. There was absolutely everything going on.
Baggy Fan's off at turn 1.
Oh.
On the wet tyres.
Oh. I'm just missing everything. I'm missing absolutely everything. But I'm just going to jump back on with Scott in the Ferrari, who's right up behind Paul. It's the closest battle. I mean, there's a battle between second place, but I mean, we'll give Paul and Scott a bit of airtime here as Scott's trying to straighten up the Ferrari on the exit, and he's got the ERS into overtake. Paul is going to be a sitting duck. He is going to try and defend it. He's pushing his car to the right hand side, making Scott have to go the long way round. Ferrari round the outside into the hairpin. Mercedes tightening the line for itself, keeps the place, does give him a wee bit of no coming round there, son, you need to wait. And that's pushed him right into the back of into the path of Jay Geddes. So Jay Geddes really kind of creeping into this battle as well, and this is for ninth. So starting to see a battle starting to form, but Ranga did say scenes indeed, absolutely everything going on. I could not keep up with it. Zenon says Saturday night entertainment. Definitely, it's been. I mean, Division 3 literally just delivers every time. like we're not even a third. We're just over a third a race distance, and we're already delivering exceptional entertainment. Crispy says Division 3 just does not fail to entertain, and Zenon says rip Gaz. So Gareth getting caught out with the hard tyres coming out of the pits, and then having to pit for inters, and he's finding himself in 17th. So he's definitely not had the race that he would have wanted, as we sit on board with Scott, as he's got Jake Geddes right behind. So Paul's running a bit wide through 8, and he's tight. You see when you run wide through the second sector, as we see a yellow flag out for Sprightly. So Sprightly again. So Sprightly's really just... I don't think the wet tyres are really the tyre to be on. Like, because you look at Gareth, who was behind Randall, and he's already 24 seconds ahead of the Mercedes. So the wet tyres, I think they've jumped the gun. It's just a matter of Paul runs wide on the exit at 12, but you really need a safety car at this stage to try and bring yourself back in. But while we're on one Ferrari, we've got to jump on board the other and see what Jord's up to. He's right on the back of Jester for 5th. Jester was an outside show for
Scott
Paul.
down the inside, by the way. Oh, my word.
Oh, I've just jumped off him! And he's up the inside. Does he make the move stick?
No, he tentatively went up the inside. Crush, by the way, has joined the back of this train. He said to me before in the Red Bull team chat, I need a wet race to get my season going, and well, starting from the back of the grid, you couldn't have asked for a better start, really.
Definitely, he's up 8 places in the first 10 laps. That's an average a place every lap and a bit. So he's definitely been making some work. And albeit he's benefited from some drivers having to pit onto the wets and mistakes, but I mean, when you see the mistakes,
as soon as I say
you need to be there to take them.
As soon as I say that, he spins. I mean, I should just shut up, to be honest.
Right, we're no singing MD's praises anymore because we know it's a curse. We're not doing it anymore, so... I
don't know if he's got damage either.
I can't, I'm on board with him. I can't really see anything.
He has.
Front left.
I'm really sorry, Crush. I'll take fully the blame for that one. Yeah.
Crush will be expecting that. Crush will be
Jay
expecting
Geddes.
that word essay of an apology.
Yeah, when he watches this back. If he watches this back. Anyway, Jay Geddes having a little look on Scott. Oh, wow, that was close.
Scott gives him a squeeze there, and he runs wide, and he's trying to correct the car, and Jay Geddes he's just going to say, thanks for that, I'll take that off your hands if you want.
George on 10-1. Oh, there's a crashed craft. He's just
he spun!
in.
Oh, and we've seen, and it's turn 1, and we've seen a very similar incident with that in Division 1 with Ranga and Preds. We see it once again between Jester and Jord. I mean, we didn't really see it on the camera. We just jumped on board Jordan. His car was literally facing the entry to turn 1, so he had immediately done a 180. And I mean, I don't want to say. I don't think he's still 7th. He's up 10 places. He's definitely where he wants to be, but it's going to be a big task at hand if he's got to try and catch up with Jester again. He was just comfortably sitting there. He was biding his time. I think he just picked a moment. I don't really know what happened, so I can't really comment on it too much.
Yeah, I was on board at the time, and it was very similar. It was just it seemed to turn in. That's a Williams off,
and it's Baggy.
Is that Baggy fan being lapped? Oh, yeah. So yeah,
right.
It was similar.
Right, I'm just going to sit on board Baggy, just to see what the wet tyres are really like. You can, look, he's just, like, I mean, obviously it's wet, and the rain is really heavy now, like it's arguably the heaviest it's been all race, and you can just see the amount of like steering input he's having to make. It's very tentative.
I think it's getting towards wet weather now, because this is not great at all.
And we've seen the AlphaTauri Craig just shooting off into the background into
Let's
the
have a
pit
look.
lane.
I think it's time for wet tyres.
So
I'll have a look what you get
you
on.
can definitely tell. You can definitely tell.
Yeah. Let's have a look. It is wet tyres.
Yep. So wet tyres seem to be the way of the way to go. Well, I don't really know what I was going to say there, but
George.
Freeman saying wets don't seem to be quick. George, what's happening to him? I'll just jump on board with him.
He's had a 5-second stop go, but he's on the wets as well. So is Scott. He's going to get held in the pit lane, unfortunately. The game mechanics.
And while the Ferraris are going to trip out there, we're going to see Paul with this. Paul's getting a bit squeamish on the exit there.
Oh.
Turn 3 and Jay Geddes is just like you can barely see. Like, I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like for the drivers, but like as Jay Geddes he's running at the back. You could just tell he had so much more overspeed getting into the braking zone there. Paul was really cautious getting into the braking zone of turn 6, and you could see the car just slowing down, literally coming to a halt, and it's just Jay Geddes was just carrying so much more speed into there, and I think he's
doesn't look like he's got damage.
Can he see it? I mean, he's driving like he's no got any damage. I'll jump on board the Mercedes and look back and see, but we can't really see the front wing just yet. It seems to be in immaculate condition, which is a big surprise considering how delicate the wings can be. But doesn't seem to be doing too much damage for Jay Geddes to sit there and the spray and the slipstreamer Paul. So
Remix is carried on, but everybody else is coming in.
So everybody's into the pit lane. Jones 8 Sweaty Confetti, Crafty Jester, SPH, everybody's coming in. Craig's already pitted for wet tyres, so by matter of seeing where he's going to come out. He's at the hairpin, and they're just coming into their pit boxes now. So this can be really close, Max. This can be seeing Craig jumping up the order a good bit here. We've got the Alfa Romeo Jones 8 just coming out, and we're just seeing them filter out the pit lane just now. We're going to see Jonesy at the exit into turn 1 there. You can see Sweaty Confetti. Jester should be a right hand. He's beat. Jester, and he's up to 4th. He's beat Jester, and he's up into 4th. So he's just shy of the podium.
Yeah, so now it's a matter of can Remix just say he's got about 15 seconds in hand before he actually comes into the pits. So, well, maybe a bit less than that. But yeah, I think he should be fine. And
Scott Laney for crossing the pit lane exit line. That's
a yellow flag.
Harsh. Yellow flags in the third. That's for somebody. I don't know who.
Scott and Scott, side by side.
Scott and Scott action. That's my stuff there. Scott and Scott going round the outside of Scott there on turn 3. Scott's dipping a tyre into the grass there, but we'll sit on board with Scott as he's chasing down Scott Laney. We just saw Scott Laney picking up a 5-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit line. Of course, when you cross that line, it's deemed to be a dangerous re-entry. But I've never seen a penalty being given for it. I mean, I've done it many a times. Don't put me up for it, but I've done it many a times on the various F1 games, and they only give you a warning. And then in this rare exception, they've gave Scott Laney a penalty. I don't think if you appealed it, nothing would happen. I don't know if you can even appeal it anyway. I don't know what.
No, because
driver, I'm not really too good on the rules.
No, all in-game penalties stand, I should say. What's Remix happened? What's happened to him? Has he had a front wing change or something? He must have had a front wing change. He's just got dropped completely down to 4th place.
And the pit lane isn't even that long. It's like a 20-second pit stop at best, and he was 35 seconds ahead. So he should have been out. If you're working out with that math, it would be at least 12 to 15 seconds. So I don't really know what's happening here. I don't really
Freeman
know what's
has just said Remix crashed in the pit lane, saw him, stopped. So he's obviously done a Hamilton, but worse. Or he's done a Baggy or whoever else it was who crashed into the pit lane earlier on in the race.
Baggy. I definitely think it was Baggy that crashed into the pit lane. Like when I jumped on Baggy, it just looked like he just speared straight on rather than make the left. It's as if it was just redesigning the pit lane entry. But I'm just going to sit on board with Scott.
Remix
Ferrari.
had a 5-second pen as well, apparently. So just to make matters worse.
might
He'll
as
have the
well
bit
just-
between his teeth.
Definitely, he's going to have SPH and Crafty's gesture beaving down his neck as they come onto the big straight. I mean, he's breaking the gap between himself and Jester through that big long right hander there, and you can see SPH just kind of hiding behind the spray and the Williams there. You can see him very vaguely, but this 3-man battle for fourth's going on, we're going to jump on the battle for the lead. Is Sweaty Confetti is right on the back of Jonesy, and there's only half a second splitting them. So Jonesy's going to have the benefit of having some clear air. No clear air. Clear air and clear vision. Whereas Sweaty Confetti's just going to have the spray kicking off the back of the tyres of the Alpha. You're going to have him having the dirty air tay, so he's going to have that to worry about as well. So,
by the way,
pressure. Yep.
SLR Liam says, can we see position changes? Please, as a yellow flag.
We can, so we've got position changes at this stage in the race. Yellow flags out in turn 10,
Ned Claw.
that'll be for Nedclaw. We've got Jonesy in the lead, he's up 5, he started 6. Sweaty Confetti's up 1 for P2, Craig's up 4. Remix has lost 2, Crafty's Jester's stayed right in the middle, he's stayed where he was, started 5th, he's running 5th. SPH losing 5, Jord the big winner with 10 places. The Ferrari's really making some making some gains off the start in the first stint. Like, Scott's up 9, Jord's up 10. It really does kind of compromise them in the sense that what could have been, if they started a bit further up the grid, they could have been maybe where we're watching, maybe not so much Jonesy and Sweaty Confetti, but maybe where Remix is. They're sitting there between him, Jester and SPH instead of 10 seconds down the road. But Ferrari's up 10 and 9, Gerris is up 1, Scott Laney's lost 4, Crush as well's up 8, he's sitting in 12, he's kind of running his own race in P12, and big losers off the start was Gareth, Jules, and Sprightly's lost 10, so he started right in the middle, he's right at the back. We've got Ranga in the chat saying driver of the day.
Oh, Jonesy's made a mistake.
And we've just completely cost him, as he's going to have as Sweaty Confetti's going to have a run up the inside. He's not got the straight line speed. Jonesy seems to have a bit less aero on the front there, and it's allowing him to pierce through the air and accelerate that a wee bit quicker, and it was able to keep the place there. So while Ranga's sitting here throwing driver of the day predictions on lap 16, his nomination almost lost it. So see how effective the cuss can be? Like, it can really ruin somebody. It can really just ruin somebody's day. But Ranga's saying his nomination is for Jonesy. Jonesy's done exceptionally well. He's been timing the strategies right. He's been timing the tyre changes. He's just been keeping out of trouble. Albeit everybody has been a bit skittish and there's just no grip. But Jonesy,
there's a yellow flag. Crushes round at the hairpin.
Sit and say something nice about somebody, and it just doesn't go right for them after it. So, what I was saying, was Jonesy's been one of the few drivers that's really been on top of the conditions, albeit nobody's really got any real solidified grip on these wet tyres. He's really been making the best of a bad situation. So Jonesy's really been kind of working overtime to get himself where he is. He also says, Ranga also says, safety car. So a safety car would definitely mix it up. It would definitely bring everybody back into the fold. So Freeman also says that would be interesting. What would you do? I mean, everybody's just pity for wets. Wets can probably get you.
Yeah, if they can get to the end, of course. I think it was a safety car. Probably hit, maybe. I don't know. Would you give up track position? It depends on how much tyre wear they've got, I suppose.
See if you're really gonna pit. I feel like you could do it if you're somebody like Jord in 7th, or maybe SPH in 6th, who's gonna have a decent gap behind them to actually pit, because it's a 18 to 20 second pit stop window, and we can definitely, if you come in, get the tyres changed, get your front wing angle maybe realigned or tightened up or looser or higher or lower, whatever, however you fancy. You can probably see the drivers that are near the front with big gaps behind them coming in. If I was Jonesy or Sweaty Confetti, this battle for the lead, Jules is left, we can't get him back in unfortunately, we don't want to end up potentially losing the game, so we'll unfortunately have to lose him 16th. But if I was Jonesy or Sweaty Confetti, I would not risk a pit stop, especially considering that Craig, Remix, Jester, SPH, they're all right there. And that's 4 places you're going to lose if they don't hit. And I think track position is quite important. Jonesy gets a wheel on the curb there, and you
that's
see
wide.
Alpha just sliding about, and Sweaty Confetti might actually have a run here. I can barely see the Alpha. Like,
Yeah,
that's just how bad the rain is.
So much ERS left, and he's not using it. It was an interesting battle emerging for the last race on the podium as well. So there is 6 drivers still in there for 3 podium places, you would say.
Definitely, I think the podium could be anybody's game, as Craig's got Remix, Jester, and even SPH just kind of peeping there in the background through turn 14. And he's who started on pole 6 on the grid at the moment. He had his big off. As we see Craig taking a good amount of the curb there through turn 2, but I mean, we're not going to complain. He'll probably have picked up a warning for that, for trying to take too much of the track limits there. But like, this battle for P3 is probably really going to be where it's at, as we see Sweaty Confetti just drifting back for Jonesy. And what you were saying on that straight, sorry I kind of cut you off when you were saying it, but Sweaty Confetti has at least double the amount of ERS than what Jonesy had, because I jumped on board them both. And Jonesy wasn't even using it down the straight, but neither was Sweaty Confetti. So is Confetti maybe planning his move down the line? Is he really kind of going to like think about maybe doing it later on in the race? Try and save some tyres, try and save a wee bit of fuel, ERS T? Is it all just about management at this stage?
Yeah. He's got to put under pressure at some point. He's still got 10 laps to go. Once we cross the line again, that is Ned Claw. Made a mistake somewhere in there, something like that. I don't know what was really going on. But yeah, I think he's got to try and close up to him at some point.
And
because he's got
sitting here talking about. Oh, sorry.
it's because he's got forecasts behind him that if anything goes wrong, they'll say thank you very much.
Definitely, he'll be just like, I'll just take that place off you, thank you, and he could run down the road. I was on board with Crush, and as soon as I saw the gap between Confetti and Jonesy come down to half a second, I jumped off Crush, and as soon as I jumped off him, he made a move. So I'm not really one for keeping up with the action, so we can only apologise for trying to keep up with the gaps and such, and the moves and that. But see, really, realistically, looking at the intervals, the closest battle, oh, and Dingle Dolphin's got a bit of a squirm on there, and he's running overtake, running the long right-hander, which is going to generate extra torque, extra horsepower, on a turn that's generally not got any grip on it anyway, and no way it's going to have no grip. And he's trying to run the long right-hander at 12. It's brave. I don't think it'll work, because he so nearly could have put that in the wall and binned it. But he's got that revving glitch as well, so he's really not been one to jump on at this moment, just due to that. But we're looking at the gaps anew, and everybody's no close, but they're not exactly far away. Also got the big gaps there between SPH and Jord for 6th place. You've got Scott Laney 22 seconds further back for Jord, and then you've got the bigger gaps at the back of the grid as well. So it's not really been a race with too much action.
Deadpool's off.
Oh, what's happened to Paul? Let me see.
Spun coming out of turn 3 and 4, and he's lost some of his front wing as well.
And he's got front wing damage on the front left. There's yellow flags for a McLaren. Who's that? It's no SPH, so it must be Ed Claw in turn 12. So I'm just going to jump back on board with Remix, who's right behind Craig. I can see that Sweaty Confetti is right behind Jonesy as well as we enter lap 20 or 28. Jonesy still is our race leader. Sweaty Confetti, second place. Craig's in third in the final podium position. Yellow flags in sector 1. Who is that for? It seems to be a Mercedes. Mercedes really haven't had the race that they would have wanted either. The qualifying was it wasn't poor, it was just a case of bad luck really on part of the game. I mean, Randall's was a mistake, but Paul's was AI controlled, so they've got and Randall just didn't have a good start. He's sitting in 17th, he's just running his own race at the back. Paul's had an incident, he's going to hit for repairs. It's really just not been a race for the Brackley based team and the Mercedes team and the whole of SLR. Well,
Yeah, just want to know, Craig has started to close the gap to Sweaty Confetti, and Crafty's not too far back from Remix, so we could have a 5-way battle for the lead going on here, and if SPHH can find a bit more pace, we could have a 6-way battle for the lead.
and that is why Division 3 is truly where it's at.
Oh, Sweaty Confetti's very close, he's tapped the back of Jonesy as well.
Oh, Jonesy's so slow on the exit of the hairpin. Sweaty Confetti just basically nudging him along, telling him, get a move on, you need to pick up the pace. Like, Sweaty Confetti just right on the rear of the Alfa Romeo there. And you can just see them up. Jonesy's leading this pack here on the camera shot, and you can see that McLaren at the back. That's SPH. That's 6th place. This battle for the lead is really going to start heating up now in these cold conditions. And as you said, 6-man battle for the lead. Let us have it. I'm off here for that.
Yeah, top 4 within 1.5 seconds of each other.
And that's kind of been a matter of, let me just quickly just jump through everybody. I want to monitor the ERS output. Sweaty Confetti is probably in the best position for ERS deployment anyway. He's significantly higher than everybody else, from about him kind of average between 20 and 40%, whereas he's on 75. And he's yazing it in the middle of the long left and right there. I don't know if you were on board with him there. He quickly had it on. Just a camera angle just completely shot him in the air there. So I don't know if that was just a glitch part of the game or whatever. I'm assuming it was. But Sweaty Confetti looked like he just did a wee bunny hop on my screen. But Sweaty Confetti really in a prime position here as we see Joe's AI just.
Hopefully it gets out of the way.
And this is really going to, as what Ham was saying about, we had Colca disconnecting Division 1 and her AI was creating a bottleneck, so I'm hoping we don't really see more of the same, especially considering this is a battle for the lead. Like, this can literally make or break the battle for the lead here. Sweaty Confetti's just getting ever closer on the break, and see Remix just kind of tucking up behind. It's just look, and Remix just looked like he got a bit of wheel spin on the curb there, so you really want to try and avoid aggressive throttle output on the curbs. And we're just seeing this train behind Josie's AI car, and SPH he was 2 seconds behind Jester. He's 1.2 now. He's really in with a shot here, and Kenty could be right here. SPH could go for the win. Like, this could literally be this opportunity to get the lead back.
This is incredibly close.
The early stages. And it really does. Oh, sorry.
And the top 6 now separated by just over 3 seconds.
And this is really this. See, I don't know how you're feeling, but see, as a viewer, see, as a commentator on this coverage, I'm really kind of like on the edge of my seat here, just sitting talking about what's going to happen and what could potentially happen. Like, there's just stuff running through my mind. There's yellow flags out in the 3rd sector. That is for Crush. So Crush has lost it on the exit of the hairpin here. Jonesy's just.
Jules' AI is out of the way.
It's Josie's AI should be getting blue flagged down this straight, but whether all 6 of them are going to get down this straight in one piece and make one move on the.
Is. Remix down the inside.
and they're going to go side by side, but Craig's going to have the slipstream of sweaty confetti in front, but will jump on board with sweaty confetti as he's in the slipstream of Jonesy. ERS is deployed. Inside move, is it on? Is he going to try and go late on the brakes? He is, he's gone up the inside, and Jonesy's going to try and hold it around, but there's Josie's AI, but it's sweaty confetti. The test line they've touched, and Jonesy's touched the side of him there, and that's what allowed Remix to come up into second place. Jonesy just looking worse for wear here, as we see Craig, and what's happened there? What's happened there? The AI.
Craig just smacked into the back of Jules' AI. I don't know if he saw him at all.
And I've just had to jump on board with Jord to see what's really happened. Craig's car's right smack bang in the middle of the pit, in the racing line.
How is that
into
not
14.
a safety car?
That is definitely a safety
Or
car.
even a BSC.
Like, why? That is a safety car. Why is there no a safety car for that? The FIA are just like, nah, I think that's perfectly safe. Like, I was on board with Jonesy, who he just really looked so. His car just doesn't look like it wants to sit properly. I mean, everybody's having the same issue, but Jonesy's car just looks really worse for wear. Like, it really just doesn't look like it wants to really day in, and that he's telling it today. And then I don't know if that maybe kind of caused Jonesy's AI just to kind of get a bit flustered. But Craig you just seen the Alpha Tauri, Craig just like hitting, like just clipping it, and away into the wall he went. I didn't see the full extent of the impact, but I just seen his car literally darting off the screen, and he was just retired. That's the next thing I knew. And actually, that's the first retirement of this race. I mean, also had Jose's AI, but that's the first official retirement in this race. There's SPH is away. SPH is away onto the grass.
Oh,
He's
no.
done what Michael Schumacher done in the Ferrari all the years ago. I think it was the first actual race here that he just lost it on the outside of turn 12 and just took a wee trip across the grass. Then we got a grass cutting. He and Valtteri Bottas are run for his money with his business there, but
oh wow!
But a 6-man battle for the leads quickly became a 4.
Even a 2, to be honest. Jones is struggling for pace. It seems like he was the bottleneck of all the drivers in the top 6 that caused it to go so close. Oh, God, for Craig. I think what happened was they were all trying to file past Jules' AI going down the inside, and then Craig didn't really move offline at all, and then he ended up just driving straight into the back of Jules' car, who was on the racing line, letting everybody go, and he fell foul to the only one who fell foul to the top 6, who fell foul to Jules' AI car. Obviously, SPHH had his own issue.
Definitely, he was coming through turn 12, and the next thing I knew, I just seen he had to correct the steering. Baggy fans retired in the pit lane, so his car is retired in the pits. Baggy fan was running 19th, I think, at the time there. I don't know if his name just darted at the bottom there, but he was one of the few drivers on the wet tyres really early on. It just didn't really work for him. Excuse me. Didn't really work for him. And he's just decided to just kind of throw in the towel there. Was they really going to gain in? And I feel like if there was any real opportunity, the race could have maybe have hit. Maybe, like kind of how you say like things can go for a 0 to 100. Like it could go for like 0 to 1,000 if a safety car came out for Craig's incident, but the game just thought otherwise. Even though it was right in the middle of the racing line, it's right on the track. I was on board with Jord. He had to brake and just do like a wee shift to the dirty line through turn 14, and it completely compromised the run through there for the Ferrari driver. And I mean, I don't really know what the programming's like, but there should be a thing where if there's an incident on the racing line, there should be a caution. In my mind, definitely, I think that's how it should be. Like, and I don't know why it's not really.
Yeah, should have been a safety car, but wasn't somehow. I'm not sure how. I think this is going to be the first race probably since I don't know when without a safety car.
It's just like we've seen Bernd Mailander doing a few laps at least once every race, but he's deciding to maybe take the day off here. Maybe that's why we've not seen him. But and I remember what race? It wasn't Vietnam. was it Australia we done? And he came out like the safety car came out like 3 times. That was the one, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
then like even like some of the stuff that happened in that race, I didn't really think was a safety car,
Well, actually,
from what I can remember.
I lie.
And then
I lie.
yes.
This is the 3rd race in a row without a safety car. There wasn't one in Bahrain. Obviously, wasn't any in Vietnam.
Aye. Oh, aye, that's right. Aye, so there was no race. There was no
This
safety
is-
car last time due to AI.
This would be the 3rd race in a row without a safety car,
Is-
which is not something you usually hear in Division 3.
Definitely no. I mean, if we have a safety car free race, then like I mean, like you kind of think this is just like I mean, in the nicest way, like in Division 3, we've always seen a safety car throw something into the mix, and it's always put the race on its head. Liam says, "Has Jonesy got damage?" Jonesy does not
No.
have damage from what I can see. He's just generally not on the pace. I think he's maybe bumped the wet tyres to a point where they're just going to slide off the road, is what Martin Brundle likes to say. He's got a tyre of a 50 pence piece. I think that might be the case here. How many penalties has Sweaty got? Says Cassat. I mean, I don't really know what the ruling is on penalties. We don't really know.
We don't
have a
like to
tally.
look. Anyway,
We don't tend to look. We don't want to ruin the surprise. But Sweaty, I mean, I don't really want to kind of throw in and out there. But I've only seen his name come up once. I've seen a lot of names, so his name's probably crept up somewhere, and that's being the nicest I can be. I'm no one to sit here and like sound like I'm disrespecting drivers or anything like that. That's the last thing I want anybody to take away from this. And while we're talking about penalties, Sprightly's picked up a 3-second time penalty there, but we try our best not to talk about penalties because it completely it kind of does take away the suspense of the race. Like, I mean, there is probably going to be like Hawkeye viewers that are going to have a tally. Like they're going to have like everybody's name on a wee checklist and like, all right, he's got one, she's got one, she's got 2, whatever. Like, and there's going to be drivers like that. There's going to be spectators like that, and then we just try and like keep it hidden because we don't really want to ruin anything. But we're not going to bog on that too much. I'm on board with Jester. Don't know why it's giving me the backwards view. I want the front view, so I'll jump on board the front view. And then we've got Jonesy here. So Crafty's Jester, right? So we've got Sweaty Confetti, yellow flags out in 2. That seems to be the Alpha Tauri. It looks to be Sprightly. It looks to be Sprightly. It is Sprightly. Racing
Dingle
Point.
Dolphin has just spun coming out of turn 4. He just lost the position to Plum, and has just lost another position to Crush. So Crush is only 1 position off a points paying position for the first time this season.
Can Crush close that 3-second gap? You never know. I mean, topic penalties could come into play, but we don't want to try and bog down the content with that, as we're going to just jump back on board with Jester as we start the penultimate lap. Sweaty Confetti is leading us for Remix, 1.4 splits to 2 at the front, 4-second gap to Jonesy, and that's what I was going to say before Dingle Dolphins incident. But like, we've seen Confetti and Remix manage to get past Jonesy, but we've seen Jester struggle. Do you think Jester's kind of struggling for the same problem? He does look quicker. It's just a matter of like keeping it through 12 to make a run into the hairpin. That's your only real opportunity in the wet.
Yeah, I think obviously without DRS it's a lot harder to make an overtake, obviously, and then in the wet as well. Added to that, you got to have a lot of confidence. You've got to be significantly faster than the car ahead to make a move, or just hope that they make a mistake on an exit and that invites you in. We've only got a lap and a bit to go.
Definitely, he's only got a lot. I mean, like, time really is running out for Jess to try and make a move. Is he gonna? He's not even gonna use his ERS down here. He's just looking to. He's just darting out of the slipstream just to try and get a wee bit of clear air and a wee bit of visibility there. Like, so you can really see how much the drivers are struggling for just to see. Like, all you can really see on the driver on the front is the flashing red light, and the light normally tells you it's harvesting energy, but in the conditions like these, it tells you where you are. It tells you where the driver is, because it's really hard to see in these conditions. But in the midst of all that, we have just seen Sweaty Confetti start the final lap, and while he's starting the final lap, I'm going to jump on board with Jay Geddes, who's basically pushing Scott through turn 12 at this point, and Jay Geddes again just getting that slide on through the exit of 12, like through the start of 12, sorry, because it's a long sweeping right-hander. He's got percent of ERS compared to Scott's 25, so Jay Geddes, if he just decides to go all in with the ERS, he's going to make it stick, but he's not gone for the slipstream, and Scott's car just looks fast on the straight line. I mean, he was using ERS there then, but Scott and Jay Geddes sitting here battling for 8th place, which has been a wee spicy battle on its own, off camera, so we're going to give it a wee bit of coverage here, because this could definitely come down to the wire if Jay Geddes can just stay in behind. But I'm going to just back on board Sweaty Confetti soon.
Yeah. Anyway. Just to interject, we have votes for driver of the day in the chat as the race comes to a close. We've had one for Crafty.
Crafty's Jester says, Southerners, get your driver of the day votes in. I will ask Merckx once the race is done, or unless he's got one in his mind right now that he wishes to throw out. So who do you think's got driver of the day in your mind?
It's hard to say who you think would be driver of the day. See, two Ferraris had pretty solid races. We see Sweaty Confetti about to cross the line.
Yep, Sweaty Confetti's exiting the final turn here. The spray's getting kicked up. The skies were blue at the start. They're going to end in grey and pouring rain, and it's Sweaty Confetti that's going to take the checkered flag and the win. So Sweaty Confetti has won
Crafty
this
on the
race
podium
here in China. Crafty's Jester jumps Jonesy on penalties there. I think Jonesy crossed the line in 3rd, but he'll take 4th on the day. Remix takes 2nd place, has penalties, so he's dropped 3 seconds back for the racing point in front. Jester in 3rd, Jonesy in 4th, SPH in 5th. George's taking a brilliant 6th place for the
I think I'd have to give George driver of the day. He never got up to fight for anything higher than what he finished, but he did a pretty excellent job by the looks of it, because he's 27 seconds ahead of Scott Laney. So
definitely, we're going to see George's teammate Scott come across the line on track in 8th place. Is he going to stay 8th as he comes across the line? He does
Jay
not.
Geddes
And
has
Jay
jumped
Geddes
up.
goes up to 7th. A quiet result there for Jay Geddes, just to creep up into 7th. He was gaining Scott a run for his money for most of the race. We caught wee glimpses of the battle in between, but Jay Geddes does take it unofficially through penalties, and Crush gets a point after starting last. He gets promoted up into the points, and it's going to be his teammate Gareth rounding out the final finishers here, and 13th, and that is a very unusual result for Gareth there. It's just not been his race, it's not been the race of Rando, and it is Jord in the game for driver of the day, but in the chat it's
Jester.
With 1 for Jord, 1 for Sweaty.
So we got Jester. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes for Jester, so I don't think he's going to be usurped for driver of the day. So Crafty's Jester, as he's got a Michael Schumacher profile, is driver of the day.
Nice tribute to the 7-time champion there, and one of Formula 1's greatest. But it is Sweaty Confetti leading the celebrations for Racing Point, and on the podium is Remix and the Crafty's Jester place through penalties. But brilliant showing for the top 3, and it's Crafty's Jester with your driver of the day nomination. We'll be looking forward to hearing from the top 3 and the driver of the day in a few moments. Be Sweaty Confetti and Jester. Jonesy on such a on, but the grip just there at the after starting pole, mistake early on in the race, but able to come back for a strong McLeod for him. SLR Jord, poor qualifying, great race, brilliant race, driver of the day nomination from a couple of people, and my co-commentator there was saying Jay Geddes in Scott Ferrari there in 9th, another strong showing. Crush back in the grid, final points paying position for Red Bull as well, missing out on the points, and in 12th and 13th in the last of the finishers, and Paul, Rando, Jules, Ed Claw and Craig and Baggy Fan and Craig were a lap down and retired. We're going to try and get them
think we're
And
missing out mixing Ali will see I mean we'll carry on. Rangus is crushed.
I mean, it's a shout for him. He has had two mistakes, a point from 20th in the conditions that were as well as then it's definitely worth a mention at least. Like, kudos to Crush. Leon bet Man City 3-1. But anyway, just shows you that Manchester's really rated. But Ranga says Crush was driver of the day in his mind. Most of the chat voted for Jester, who we'll probably be hearing from in a few moments' time. Jord was yourself, Merx, and Kenty. And Freeman says Sweaty Confetti. Sweaty Confetti was qualified third. I mean, we said to get pole, ended up getting third. We said to get third in the race, ends up winning. I mean, hey ho, but we'll know more about that.
We got all the drivers in now.
Going on. I'll let you fire in.
I'll start off with our third place driver, which was... Oh, firstly, make sure you've ticked the box on the party so that everyone can hear you who is still listening. We'll start off with Crafty, who finished third place. Snatching it at the end on penalties. So well done. Seems to be a close race at the end between the top six, and you managed to come away with a podium. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, very, very excited. It's good. I thought I was going to get second at one stage. Front four were right in front of me, and knew a few of the drivers had penalties. So, but podium from where we started, all that rain, I'm happy.
Yeah, it was. Well, the rain. The rain came down quite quickly.
Yeah.
In the end, so I mean, you weren't on the drives for that long, so it was probably a bit of skating going on. I think you were one of the first ones to come in.
I took the gamble to come in,
yeah,
get the intermediates on early, and I managed at the end of that first round to come back out in fifth again where I went in, so it wasn't too bad. Just tried to keep it clean the rest of the race.
You done that to well, good, almost perfection. I say, yeah, good race from you. I did just get we just got a message from Remix in the chat. He said he can't talk because his mic is broken, but he said he went full Lewis Hamilton and cost him the race win. Also stayed out an extra lap on the intermediate tyres. Well done on getting P2 anyway. Almost got there in the end. I think he referenced full Lewis Hamilton as he crashed into the pit lane. But as Freeman noted in the chat earlier, which is a shame. But managed to crawl his way back to P2. But for the second time this season, Sweaty Confetti in the Racing Point as a reserve driver wins the Grand Prix. How you feeling about that? Just talk us through what different stages of that race. Obviously, you started off dry, and then you had to tiptoe around, get into the pits on the inters, and then ended up on the full wets and had to nurse them home to the end. What was that like? Yeah, I think it was a test for all the drivers today. Actually, there was only two, three DNFs, you say, in the end. So it was well done for all the drivers, and obviously you've come out on top once again. So hopefully we'll see you getting a full-time seat soon. Yeah. Oh, apparently they're saying they can't hear you. Oh, okay. I'll tell them anyway. I'll just say that he has said that he's obviously happy with the win and says that he's just stuck behind Jonesy. It was who was in the lead for a majority of the time, trying to stick behind him, and then eventually, obviously, he got past. And yeah, he said, and then he well kept it clean. And yeah, he's obviously had 2 wins in the Racing Point, and saying that the Racing Point is obviously the reason he is getting that, getting those good results. So well done for him. Riggs, any final thoughts?
No, I feel like you kind of covered all the bases there. I'm just want to extend my congratulations to the podium finishers. Jester, mate, in the chat, you got the driver of the day, even though in the game it said it was Jord. You were the fan favourite in that race there. The majority of the chat voted overwhelmingly in favour of giving driver of the day to yourself. So
thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate that.
And honestly, I think we were treated to another exceptional race. It really kind of separated the drivers. Despite the conditions, definitely shows you that skill comes a lot into it when the rain's involved. So, they also say the Jester is not from Leicester. Says Sonos.
Not from Leicester.
And so got a good overwhelming support there in the chat for yourself in terms of driver of the day and just general fan favourite throughout the course of the race. Very challenging conditions make a very entertaining race for ourselves as the commentators. Maybe not as exciting for yourselves as the drivers, but
it's very sweaty, very hard work.
The commitment is, I mean, dry's bad enough in it around China, but can't imagine it in the wet. But it's been another exceptional race. I think Division 3 always delivers. It's always chaotic, it's always got something going on, it's always something to keep us engaged, everything up and down the field. There was a 6-man battle lead for the lead at one point. And we kind of get this week in, week out, and I'm hoping it continues because it definitely sits well with the viewers and ourselves as commentators. So I'm just want to pass my congratulations to yourselves again. Well done to everybody else that partook. Sorry. Nominate a wee special shout out nominations to other driver of the day nominations. We Sweaty Confetti got 1 vote for Freeman. We got Ranga saying Crush. Crush started from the back, ended up getting a point in P10, but I'm just going to round it off with that. Just want to pass my well done and my congratulations once again to everybody once again, and hope to see you tomorrow for SLR's elite race around China and the final race around China before we move to the Netherlands, another brand new circuit for the drivers next week. So I'm just going to round it with that. It's going to be a bye from us, and we'll catch you in the next stream.